Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here, and it's Sunday, so we're doing a Sunday special report. And there's been a lot of talk about DeMar DeRozan in the news lately because he's got a new book coming out on the 10th, which is in 2 days, called Above the Noise. And yeah, it's kind of funny that the book's named Above the Noise, considering what his daughter did to the Raptors that time. But anyway, besides that point, I just there's been a lot of speculation because DeMar appeared in a Kendrick Lamar video this summer, Not Like Us. And it's kind of opened a can of worms. And it's kind of, in some ways, it's very much a misunderstanding. In some ways, it's, as DeMar put it himself personally recently, people are being sensitive. And I can get what he's saying. In some ways, it's like, if you look at it from a certain point of view, it's not a very serious thing that's happened here. It really, really isn't. And he did an interview recently where he very much explains what the Not Like Us video, his friendship with Kendrick Lamar, and the purpose of that whole song is. And it's being what the problem is there's certain people out there that are using that song to make it a USA. That's not what this is, guys. And once again, there's powers that be. They're going to try and divide us and do weird shit and psyops kind of stuff. And basically, some people heard the song "Not Like Us" and they've been using it in different places to kind of like say, "Yeah, you're not like us." It's been used in politics that has nothing to do with DeMar DeRozan or Kendrick Lamar recently. It's been used, obviously, with the Canada versus USA thing, which is silly because in some ways it's not about the us, the not like us that Kendrick sings about is very, very specific. And some people are just using the open ended of the lyric to just kind of like make it about whatever they want it to fit to. This is a big part of it right here. Now, Not Like Us is about Compton. It is about people that grew up in the city of Compton that have lived in a war zone between the Bloods and the Crips and understand what that lifestyle is like. This is very much something that DeMar had to deal with as a young person. Kendrick Lamar, also from the same community, and him knowing the same thing. And when he says he's not like us, when they're talking about that, that's more about the street. That's more about living in a war zone. And they may be more singing this to the people that are out in the suburbs, is what I'm saying. That's really kind of where Kendrick's kind of talking about this. So that's really kind of the dividing line for real. And in some ways, DeMar looks at this totally different than anybody that is talking about in the public. Any of the press, any of the people in the middle of the rap beef, the people that are for Drake, the people that are for Kendrick. No, he doesn't even see it the way that they see it. He really sees it this way, that if you're not from Compton and you have not lived a life where your uncles are getting shot by different rival gangs, one uncle's a Blood, one uncle's a Crip, they're both dead. This happened to DeMar. This is a true story. He had an uncle that got killed that was a Crip, and he had an uncle that got killed that was a Blood. So this is really where this comes from. Is it the mindset of having to live in that environment and the way it is around there? You are not like us because you have no idea what it's like to see your family members murdered, to see to have to worry about a gang war that you live in the middle of. So that's really what it's more about at this point. And in some ways, what Kendrick's goal with that song is to bond the two sides of the Bloods and the Crips. In fact, that concert this summer where DeMar appeared on stage in California with Kendrick Lamar, there were rival gang members in attendance there, and they were bringing them together with unity. So in some ways, that song is very much a uniting song if you take all the bullshit that other people are trying to put on top of it, as far as Drake versus Kendrick, this and this. Yeah, sure. Drake is attacked in this song. Yeah, Drake is attacked in this song. And yeah, rightfully so in some ways. But also, that's part of selling records, honestly. And that's part of the whole thing that they've done in hip hop music for a long time. This is what DeMar said in the recent interview. He said, it's like when the two biggest guys in the neighborhood just have to throw down because they're the two biggest guys and nobody else is going to mess with them. And, DeMar's been that guy himself. He was the biggest guy in Compton, and he beat somebody up in high school. And that's how he got the name Debo, just so y'all know. He got it from Tiny Lister in the movie Friday. And that's why they call him Debo. But because he was one of the biggest kids and he did have to fight at times. But this is the thing. They want to unite the people that are fighting within that community. And that's why he's trying to tell everybody, y'all aren't like us because you don't understand our struggle and our plight here in this community. And I mean, it's going to go over everybody's head. It's very ambiguous line. And of course, when he adds the whole "you didn't deserve him neither" line about D Rose returning to his home, well, that's like setting off lines like, whoa, whoa, wait a second. I had a reaction to it. I really did. Because I was like, look, once again, Raptors fans are in the middle of this. We're not Masai Ujiri. We did not make that call. Masai paced in that African hotel lobby till 4 a.m. before he called DeMar and did this trade for Kawhi. He really did not take this lightly. He went through it all in his head and understood that this was a really big decision that he's making, trading a 9-year Raptor, dedicated in his heart, dedicated, loyal. That's the other part of DeMar that we're going to talk about next, about this whole thing that has made it so complicated and weird and crazy. Because this is the crazy thing. DeMar DeRozan's story is a basketball story, but it's not just anymore. No, and this book is going to show it when it comes out. This is a book about healing. This is a book about discovering how to be happy again. This is a book about, finding a justice in the world when you feel like there is no justice in the world. Because this is the thing. DeMar did everything right to us. In some ways, sure. Some people will say, well, his defense wasn't good enough and he took too many shots in this way. Oh, whatever. We don't care about those little details right now. He did everything right for us. A kid from Compton that showed up in Toronto and didn't have a jacket and froze his ass off. A kid from Compton that bought into the idea of being loyal, just like he was back home. Loyal to all the people he grew up with in Compton. Loyal to all the people that helped him and got him to the point that he was in the NBA. And that's the thing. He's got such a strong sense of loyalty. Such a strong sense of loyalty. He may be one of the most loyal people in the whole entire NBA. And, well, he really was like that for us. He never, ever did want to leave Toronto. He had said it very publicly. He said, I am Toronto at times. And he really was a real ride or die for us. So that's the thing. When Masai traded him, he couldn't take it lightly. He did a very ballsy move, and it really, really did pay off. But what I'm saying here is that DeMar got blindsided. DeMar got his whole world turned upside down when Masai traded him for Kawhi. And it made him doubt the world and it being just anymore. You know, in some ways, we want to live in a world where we feel like everything is fair, where everything, people do something wrong, they get their just desserts, and good people get rewarded. Well, in some cases, the sad truth and reality of the world is it isn't fair. And that in some ways, what you think is justice and what you think is right is not always the outcome of what happens. In some ways, we're in a most dangerous time politically in the United States, where I hope that we see a felon lose very much, because it would not be fair if a convicted felon won the presidency this November in the United States. Because in some ways, that's not a sense of fairness, is it? So in some ways, we can relate to DeMar in this kind of way, that he didn't feel like it was fair because he was to be a Raptor his whole entire career. He was Toronto, as he said. Ways he busted his ass, worked his ass off, did everything. And in some ways, Masai made a very difficult decision, stabbed him in the back. Now, we did what we did, and we can't change it, but it did really bad damage to DeMar DeRozan's mental health. He fell into a horrible depression. He was so mad. He was so mad at Toronto. He was mad at Masai. He was mad at the whole thing. And then the whole year, seeing that team go to the championship and win the championship in 2019, that was really hard for him. Even if one of his best friends, Kyle Lowry, was in the middle of it and getting all the spoils and the victory. You know, in some ways, that was extremely hard for him. But you know what? He didn't go public and say bad things about the Raptors at any point, really. He just shut up and dealt with his darkness and his depression and his sadness on his own with that part. But no, he was very vocal about feeling it. He said one day, I'm depressed. And Kevin Love came and stood next to him and said, yeah, I get depressed sometimes too, DeMar. And they opened up a whole new conversation about mental health and men that is groundbreaking and really, really has helped a lot of people since. You know, DeMar being so wide open about his life, he could easily be very much more private. like a lot of NBA players are, is a real public service because he gives a good example of what it is like to deal with depression and how to overcome it. I'm so happy that he landed in San Antonio. If he had been on any other team in the NBA, he may not have gotten out of this depression. Because I'm going to tell you right now, his therapist and the person that helped him the most after this whole trade was Greg Popovich, was that coach. That coach, I've heard so many different stories about Coach Pop that make me realize he's one of the greatest people ever in the whole entire history of the world. He sat with DeMar and let him just cry with him when he was dealing with the pain of having to feel the rejection of Toronto. Nobody wants to feel that. Nobody wants to feel, especially when you're so dedicated to that team or that entity or that person, to feel discarded. And that's what he felt. He felt discarded. He felt, and I'm not gonna lie, some of Raptors Nation was ugly and brutal towards him in a wrong kind of way, where they were dissing him and insulting him on the way out. We didn't need to do that, y'all. I did not understand why y'all were like, let's go on a insult DeMar DeRozan a year now in the championship year with the Raptors with Kawhi. That was so petty and cheap. And fans that did that, y'all are wrong, that just kicked a man while he was down during that year, whether you were saying something about his shooting or whatever. In some ways, that was never right. So DeMar, having feel like his whole world is upside down and he can't believe that there's justice in this world. Well, Greg Popovich started to help him find a justice again in the world, find a way to be okay, find a way to heal and get past the rejection of leaving the Raptors in a trade to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm so glad he got traded to the Spurs. Because in some ways, if he had gone to some other jabroni team that didn't have somebody like Greg Popovich, he may be suffering still right now. That Popovich was so crucial and important to start helping DeMar DeRozan heal. And in some ways, DeMar is such a great example of getting past things and being okay and separating things also. You could lash out at the whole entire city. It's a less cerebral, less sensitive person would probably just say, fuck Toronto. I hate the whole fucking place. It could fucking burn down for all I care. I don't give a shit. Those fans, fuck them too. But that's not what DeMar did. Nah, he's described us as like the ex-girlfriend that you still kind of think about. He's described this city as, a very important place to him still. This is the thing. We've got to understand that a big, huge chunk of his legacy, 9 years of his career, is here in Toronto. And what is he going to do? Just throw that out? Like he feels like he got thrown out when Masai traded him for Kawhi? No, he's not. He has to be proud of those achievements. He's got to be proud of what him and Kyle did, putting this team on the map. Because it's the damn truth. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry brought respect to the Toronto Raptors franchise. And they were the ones who built us up in the playoffs and got us to be more bona fide. And in some ways, he should be proud of that because he took a Canadian franchise that was shat on by Bosch and Carter before, and he did everything right for it. In fact, he may have been very cognizant of the Vince Carter, what he did and how he left, and Chris Bosch and how he left. He's like, I'll never do that to Toronto. And he's a real one for that. But then we turn around and in some ways do it to him. It's so tough. Sometimes the most sensitive, caring people are the ones who get burned the most. And DeMar, don't get it twisted. DeMar DeRozan is a very, very sensitive person. Very, very sensitive person. Sometimes the most sensitive people in the world are the ones that hold the weight of the world and the conscience of the world on their shoulders. And, I think that DeMar can't just throw away almost 10 years of being a Raptor just because of this. It's like you're losing your history. You're losing your job work. That you're losing what you accomplished if you just disregard it and throw it away. In some ways, you could ask Chris Bosch about that in his Raptors career. It's like, how much do you get celebrated up here for what you accomplished on the Raptors, Chris? Well, you threw it away in some ways, but DeMar never did. In some ways, he wants to protect his work and his legacy for the 9 years he was on the Raptors. And in some ways, he doesn't want to insult it or diss it because he's proud of it. He's proud of it, and he should be. Like I said, the Raptors were a franchise that was disrespected and not very much like looked at as somebody that, we should be worried about. And Kyle and DeMar changed that. They were the ones who actually did establish the Raptors culture that thankfully we still have to this day in a lot of ways. And, that culture did not exist during the Bosch years. That culture was not here during the Carter years. They were a different culture at that time. But the culture that Kyle and DeMar set, it took, and it's still here today. So in some ways, why would DeMar pee all over that like Calvin on a decal on the back of a pickup truck? Why would he pee all over his legacy in Toronto? He won't. Because in some ways it's a big part of who he is, and he's very proud of it. So, it's a complicated thing, rejection. It's a complicated thing, depression. It's a complicated thing, healing and forgiveness. And in some ways, I love seeing DeMar in the last couple years embrace Masai, because honestly, he's the epicenter of the pain that was caused to DeMar here. It's not me. It's not you. It's not Raptors fans. It's not his teammates. It's nobody except for our GM and team president, Masai Ujiri, because he made that decision, that paid off decision. But that was the thing that painfully stuck the knife in DeMar's back. In some ways, the fact that DeMar is coming to our city this week to do his book signing on Friday signifies that, yes, he's signifying that he is very important in this country of Canada, in the city of Toronto, and that he's not going to forget about us, that he's going to come up here and sign books for his fans here in Toronto. And he has very, very, very many, many fans in Canada still. It's been a crazy journey. In some ways, this time is what heals. Once again, time needs to pass. That crazy play-in game, the last game Nick Nurse ever coached for the Toronto Raptors? Well, that was some revenge for his family on the burn and the hurt. DeAr DeRozan probably did feel the pain of her father from that summer in 2019. She's old enough to see how daddy changed in the summer of 2018 and how it really wasn't a positive thing. And in some ways, if she's like her father, she has a sense of justice. She has a sense of get back. And so that's why she asked her dad, I don't want to go to school, Dad. I want to come to Toronto like I used to and go to the games like I used to in Toronto. Okay, come on, DR. And then boom, she does what she does. And in some ways, it's a poetic justice. It's a poetic evening out. In some ways, we deserved it. In some ways, I would declare that the DeRozan family and the Raptors are even because of what DR did that day. And in some ways, DeMar, he would never have condoned her to do that. People that have said he said her to do that. No, why would he do that? That's not the way he is. He's not taking shortcuts. He's not trying to get unfair advantages through really cheap ways. Trust me. And he was embarrassed, honestly. He's probably a little bit embarrassed of her, but he wouldn't say that publicly because he can't say he's embarrassed of his daughter. He wouldn't say that. But in some ways, I'll bet she was embarrassed. But I'm just saying, it's a complicated thing, and time heals and perspective heals. It's amazing that DeMar has also publicly said, I'm very proud of that team winning that championship in Toronto in 2019. My friends and the guys, I really love that they got it. Those are my brothers, and I love them. That's a bigger person. Some people would just be selfish and, yeah, fuck y'all. I hate you. Why did you win that without me? And in some ways, that should have been me instead of Kawhi. I'm not going to disagree with you, DeMar. In some ways, I won't disagree with you. But also at the same time, the fact that you could turn the other cheek and just be, I love these guys, and I'm so proud of the Raptors winning a championship still. Because in some ways, let's talk about this. The 9 years he did to build up to that championship still matter. And he is a part of building towards that championship by far, for sure. If not his exclusion from it and adding somebody else to get the last part. But still, he was there that built the foundation, the walls and everything. But he did not have put the chimney on the top. But he built most of that house that allowed us to get that Larry O'Brien in 2019. So why would he shit on his legacy in that kind of way? Why would he? Why would he? In some ways, when Lamar speaks about, well, you're not like us, Drake, he's talking about the suburban life of the Forest Hill, Degrassi High alumni, Drake. Yeah. In some ways, DeMar made this very clear also. He has no problem with Drake. In some ways, he talked about the Drake, Kendrick Lamar feud as this. It's sometimes these are the big ones, the big boys. And, this is part of it. And sometimes, he's very proud of Drake, actually. DeMar said Drake is going after so many people. He's taking on so many different ops all at once. And that's impressive. Nobody's like Drake. You can't touch Drake. Drake's bona fide. Drake has done so much in the last 10 years. He's like, he's my friend still. I'm still cool with him. In some ways, it's like DeMar being in that video And that one part where we didn't deserve D Rose, it really isn't anything other than Kendrick Lamar's opinion. It really is. It's not necessarily DeMar's opinion, because in some ways DeMar deserved to come to Toronto, make millions of dollars, get high up on the all-time scoring list to the point where he's in the top 30 of all-time scorers in the whole entire history of the NBA, y'all. Seriously. That he deserved the money, the all NBAs, the All Stars, the Olympic gold, the division championships with the Raptors. He deserved all that. He deserved the chance to start a young family here in Toronto and to have the births of his children and grow as a man. He deserved all that here. He did all that here, and he won't deny that he became a man in Toronto. And the thing about Kendrick saying this is he doesn't feel like we deserved DeMar because of how Masai stabbed him in the back. I mean, I get it. I get it. In some ways, this is talking to that code of loyalty that Compton rules by. That this is the thing that they've lived in and they understood, and the duty and the allegiance to one color or the other, the red or the blue, it really supersedes some things because loyalty is everything in that community in some ways. And in some ways, the breaking of the loyalty of us to DeMar DeRozan made Kendrick Lamar say, y'all never deserved him. You know, it's true. I'm not like them. I did not grow up in that environment, and I cannot relate to somebody who lived in Compton. I'll say that. It's just the damn truth. But, you know, this thing's complicated. Now, this is the thing. This is how amazing and badass DeMar is. I'm telling you, he's turned the other cheek. He has nothing but love for us. It hurt. He took all the pain. He took all the anguish. He took all the depression on his own, and he dealt with it internally and went through it on his own, whether he's seeing therapists, whether he's talking to Coach Pop, whether he's working it out through the game and getting better and better and better while he plays for the Spurs and the Bulls. You know, he took it all and dealt with it in a healthy way. He processed it. In some ways, the example that DeMar DeRozan is for other grown men is to face your feelings and go straight into them instead of just ignoring them and being a crusty old asshole because you're mad, is a great example for people. It seriously is, because he's shown growth. He's shown exploration of his dark side and went through it and shown that you can still become not a monster, even though you were done wrong. That, you know, some people would take what DeMar happened to him and they could be total jerks after that and be a villain. You know, in some ways you get exiled like that. It's real easy for you to get in a villain mindset. But DeMar didn't. He's better than that. He thought he kept it all in perspective. And in some ways, he dealt with it. He faced it head on like a real man does. The real man don't go around just being abusive and hitting out and insulting and mean to people. They change. They try to get help. They fix themselves in therapy. They don't just go out in hate and depression and hurt other people and cause more ripples of pain and anguish. No, they get help like DeMar DeRozan did. And they find a new happiness. You know, this interview I just watched with DeMar from last week that I'm getting a lot of my source material for the stream, he honestly looks bona fidely happy. I've watched him over the last years since we traded him in 2018, and he has looked very sad, very depressed, very lost at different times, especially in San Antonio. But when he got to Chicago, things started to get a little better. We saw him smiling more. We saw him having a little bit more like lightness to him. And at this point, I can honestly say he's in a very good place mentally right now. You can tell that he has mastered some of his demons in the last couple years. And that's a heroic story because, like I'm saying, there's too many people in this world that don't look inwardly and look at themselves and figure out how to help themselves. They just lash out because they're hurt. And I love this. Listen, what DeMar is doing this week, not only is he coming to Indigo Books on Friday, September the 13th at the Well. Y'all can go sign up. You get a copy of his book, and he's going to sign it for y'all. He is going to Cam H on Thursday, the day before September the 13th. He will be at Cam H for a very special group, not really open to the public. I wouldn't go down there if you're just anybody. You don't need to go down there, honestly. I'm not telling y'all about this so you should go. I'm telling y'all about this because this is him giving back. Cam H has a youth program for people of color, black kids that are struggling with mental health and different issues. And DeMar is going to go there to Cam H the day before his big book signing at Indigo, and he's going to do service for the young people of Toronto. He's going to go in there and tell his story, and he's going to try and make it more mainstream and normal to talk about your feelings and not hold it up inside. There he is, being a role model for the young people of the GTA, a community that in some ways people say is not like him and did not take care of him and was not loyal to him. Why would he do that? Why would he come in up here and talk to our kids and try to help them? Because he gives a shit. Because he loves his city. Because he cares about the kids of this city. That's an amazing thing, man. Because in some ways he had no reason to do that. A lesser man would turn his back on this city forever. But this man knows how to heal. This man knows how to face his demons. This man knows how to overcome depression. And he's a warrior. He's a hero. And he is a fucking champion. He may not have that right there. But this motherfucker is a champion of life. That's right. That's right. How do you do this? Your mother has lupus since you're a kid. You worry about her dying your whole life. Your dad dies 3 years after you got your stabbed in the heart by the team that you had dedicated your damn life to. You got stabbed in the heart, then your dad dies. You see people dying in your life all over the place. Nipsey Hussle. Different people that care, you care about and you matter to. Man, I'm telling you, that's a strength. That's a power. And thank God for Greg Popovich. Thank God for Masai Ujiri. Even if he did this thing that made it all spiral out of control. At least, you know what? Majiri was that gentle person to say, listen, I never meant to do this for you in a way that would hurt you like this, but I had to do it. It's business. It's not personal. And well, you know, in some ways, the fact that Masai can come back around and be a humanitarian and sensitive to the whole situation. You don't think Ujiri had a hard time making that call? We know he did. It took him 3 hours before he could take that ring to call him and tell him he was traded to the Spurs. You don't think that he took that very seriously? That he was like, you got to think about this whole thing before you put it in motion. Because you are really, really, really stabbing somebody who's absolutely loyal and had this city in his heart and had the back of the Raptors in all kinds of different ways. It's complicated. People are opportunists. Kendrick Lamar wants to sell more records. In some ways, putting them in the video, you know, people like that. Some people that are very American are be like, yeah, fuck Canada. I hate Canada. You know, you take that ball and run with it. But you are totally missing the point. You're totally missing the point. And like DeMar said, some people got sensitive. I did get sensitive, DeMar, because I thought you were turning your back on us. But obviously, if you're going to Cam H, you're going to go talk to the youngsters in our community about depression and trying to help them with their mental health. You did not turn your back on us. No, you did not. In fact, you're coming back with love. And you know what? I hope you get every ounce of love that you gave to this city back at you when the people come and see you this week here in Toronto with your book tour. Seriously. Seriously. I mean, that's my spiel right there. If you guys have any more questions about what has happened with DeMar DeRozan and where he stands right now, just know that he's going to Cam H. He's not getting paid for that. He's going there in service for our community. But you tell me what it's like. Right there. His new chapter opening up in Sacramento now. We'll see how it goes. I want that man to continue to rise up the scoring list and the all-time NBA scoring list. I want that man to rise because, like, look, it's like he said in that interview. It's like there's not many more people that scored more NBA points in this league than me. In fact, there's about 2 dozen. There's about 2 dozen. Just over 2 dozen or so have scored more points than me. And we're talking about Kareem, LeBron, Larry, Magic, Michael. You know, he's on that list with them, and he's in the top 35, guys. Seriously. So we need to be very proud of our guy, not just for what he did for the Raptors and building us and making us a bona fide team to this day. Thank God. Thank you, DeMar, for that. That's a huge gift. We want to thank you for an example of loyalty. We want to thank you an example for resilience. We want to thank you for example of being a real man and not being afraid to cry and not being afraid to say, I am in a bad place and I need help. Because we need more role models like you, because that is how we heal. That is how we heal as humanity, as a nation, both nations, Canada and US. That's how we heal inside as individuals, to see the great story of DeMar DeRozan. And his story is bigger than any fucking champions LeBron's got, any fucking Larry O'Brien's or anything like that. His story is bigger than his NBA career at this point. His story is about opening that door and opening that conversation. That's what it's all about at this point, guys. That's right. All that NBA stuff makes him bona fide, makes him, yeah, he's a real one. Look at that. He's up on that list. He's a 6-time NBA All-Star. He's this, he's that, he's this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing that he may be more proud of in the end when he's older is the fact that he didn't shut up and just play. He actually talked about his feelings and he talked about what he was going through. And he showed a great example for everyone on how they can deal with their own issues. That's it right there. That's it right there. So I'm going to say to you real quick, DeMar. Thank you, DeMar DeRozan. We appreciate you. Toronto forever. You are Toronto, my guy. You are always going to be a GOAT. You're always going to be in my top 5 of greatest Raptors of all time. If I was worried about you and I was worried about it, I apologize. I should have never doubted you. That, I'm not going to let other people speak for you like Kendrick Lamar. I will only listen to your voice and what you say because he does not speak for you. And he's in some ways an opportunist. And it's someone that just wanted to, sell records, honestly. That's what it is. So yeah, let's get into the rest of the chat. I did a 30-minute open. And I don't know I've done that very much, but there was a lot to say about that. And in some ways, hopefully I cleared some air. And hopefully I got things right with us and DeMar. Seriously. Let's see what y'all are saying real quick. In some ways, this is kind of a Share the Love Club, but this is also Sunday Report. Let's clear up the air about Not Like Us. Let's clear up that air right now. Let's do that real quick. Yeah, Trevor said, good morning, family. You got to learn to trust the process, even when it seems like it's not processing. Is this about Joel Embiid? Let's ask sister fans if they still trust the process. Trevor J's talking about there's a crazy story about IQ yesterday. Well, listen, this is what happened. And this, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this is touching us in this way right now. All right, this is what happened, y'all, in the last 2 days. On Friday, there was a school. There's been school shootings this week, right? Well, in the Baltimore area, Emmanuel Quickly's mother is an assistant principal at a high school in Baltimore. And there was a school shooting at that high school. They had to lock down, and there was a very scary moment for Emmanuel because his mother was in danger in an active school shooting building. And thank God, she's okay. But there was a young person that was murdered and killed in that school shooting at that school on Friday. So thank God, Emmanuel Quickly's mother, the assistant principal of that high school, is fine. But yeah, this is a very prevalent, seriously bad problem. They just had a school shooting in Georgia, and then there's a school shooting on Friday in Maryland, and it involves Emmanuel Quickly's mother. All praise to God and Jesus above that they kept her very safe, and many, many more people that were there. Really, really sad about the young person that got killed at that in this dispute. Apparently, there was a fight in a bathroom between a 15 and a 16-year-old. And one of those two got shot later on at the school. So, yeah, that's the down low on the Emmanuel Quickly story with the shooting on Friday. Just so y'all are in the know on the Rapid Freak channel, Emmanuel's very, very grateful and blessed that his mother's okay. And praise to Jesus and God that they were protecting her and others at that school. Seriously. Trevor said, I have nothing but bad to say about DeMar. He loves Toronto. Yeah, he does. I mean, this is the crazy thing. We can relate to this. You've been in a relationship where you absolutely love somebody and you were like, I want to be with them for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden something weird happens. Like maybe they dish you and they go start dating somebody right in front of your face. That hurts so bad. And in some ways, it's got to be totally different than just an individual, like a spouse or a partner, like your boyfriend or your girlfriend. It's got to be different when it's a whole city, a franchise, a sports team, and even some ways a country. And man, in some ways, look, this is a great way to deal with it. If he had gone all villainous and exile and been like, yeah, fuck this place, he'd have a whole bunch of ops in different dumb ways that he just didn't deserve. He'd make his life harder. So in some ways, this really is a really great story about turning the other cheek and being the bigger person. That DeMar could have easily gone that evil way and been like, yeah, fuck Toronto. I fucking hate them forever. And so like that. But no, he went inside himself to heal, and he wanted to not destroy his legacy and his history with our franchise. And he did a very successful job. In some ways, I think what he has done is one of the hardest things to do. Sure, it's real easy to go Vince Carter villain and kill us and revel in being like, yeah, fuck y'all, Toronto. I left y'all and left y'all in a bad place. Yeah, it's real easy to go villain like Vince. But DeMar had all the reasons in the world to go villain. Like Vince really, in some ways, really didn't. He just went villain just because he's a fucking piece of shit. But DeMar, he had every reason to go villain, and he did not. And in some ways, that is the example. That's the role model you want to follow, young people. Seriously. Because you'll make your life easier down the road. You burn bridges, those bridges go down, and you can't go back across them sometimes. And DeMar never burned that bridge with us, even though he had the kerosene in the match, and he could have done it at any point if he really wanted to. Seriously. Seriously. Trevor said IQ is going to be a very special player this season. You can see the work process he's taken his game to new heights. He is everywhere training with different people. You know, I've noticed this too, Trevor. This is a great comment because I've noticed this too. Emmanuel's been working extremely hard. And I've seen this recent clip that came out in the last 2 days. He's working on corner threes. And I'm like, his shot looks really tight. And, you know, one of the things I love about Emmanuel quickly is his stop and pop. Of course, we're going to see some threes where he's running up the court and all of a sudden he just stops on a dime and bombs a three in transition like that. Nobody else on that team should be doing that. None of the other Raptors. I don't want Scotty doing that. I don't want RJ doing that, but Emmanuel can because he has really, mastered that shot. You know, him and Maxey are really good at the run up and shoot. It's almost like, you know, that's the key of why Tyrese Maxey is really good is because he can run full speed and elevate and shoot while he's still at that speed. That is really impressive. A lot of guys have to slow down and collect themselves to make a good high percentage shot. But that's the thing with these speedy guards from Kentucky. These guys have mastered how to be speedy and elevate and shoot all and without slowing down. So that's the thing that I'm excited about with Emmanuel. And like you said, Trevor, he has not only been working out a lot this summer, he's been diversifying where he's been working out and who he's been working out. Of course, we know he's been in Spain, he's been in Miami, he's been in New York, he's been in Africa, he's been all over this summer. And yeah, that work's going to be showing this year. In some ways, we got to think about it this way. Emmanuel's got the green light as a starting point guard in the NBA now all of a sudden, and he wants to show that he belonged as a starting point guard all along. That being on the shelf behind Jalen Brunson in New York, yeah, that was not growing right. It's like a plant. Sometimes the pot is too small for the root system anymore, and it needs room to grow. So he had to be taking out that New York Knicks pot and put in that big, huge Toronto Raptors starting point guard spot so he can put his roots out further and grow even bigger. And that's what's going to happen with him. With more minutes, more responsibility, and a starting point guard role on the Raptors. I'm here for it. There's a nice picture recently. I think it's in the Instagram stories. So why don't we do this real quick? We'll do the Instagram stories right now. First, we got Slim Duck. Chris Boucher's got Where We At by I.C. Morgaine. I guess that's a new song. It's out there. Maybe he's asking, where we at, Raptors? Where we at, Darko? Where are we at? What are we doing now? Legacy Scotty wants to compare Scotty to Jokic, and he's saying they're twins because they're hanging out with horses. That's really funny. That's really funny. So he's really on this kick of Nikola Jokic and Scotty Barnes are twins. I won't disagree with your comparison, Legacy Scotty. I mean, a lot of people around the league would probably say, yeah, that's a stretch, but not me, because I can see what Scott does, and I know it is very Jokic kind of type stuff. So, yeah, very interesting stuff on Legacy Scotty. Let's see. Jamal McGlure has got the top rap songs from the 80s and 90s, and it's Special Ed. It's 89, actually. Special Ed. I got it mad. He's also got a highlight from WrestleMania. It's Mick Foley jumping into a table from the cage. I didn't realize Jamal McGlure was such a big wrestling fan because he's got all these wrestling clips on his Instagram stories. And then here's what Jamal's saying here. Some fallouts are needed just to show you was showing too much love anyway, 100%. Well, I hope that's not about the Raptors because the Raptors Nation loves you and you're always a community ambassador for us. That's for sure. Norman Powell at the Octagon last night. So he was at a UFC fight of some sort. I'm not sure where it is. Kelly Olynyk's next to a pool and there's dogs jumping in it, getting rings. And the dog missed the ring. It's too bad. I wonder if that's his wife competing in a dog competition. I don't know. You know, the sport dogs, they like to jump through hoops and run around. Manuel quickly is checking out some pictures somewhere. It looks like he's been trusting God is what he's saying. And there he is. Prevail is what he says in this one. There he is. Somebody's getting baptized in church. Once again, the faith is very strong. and the Quickly family. And Emmanuel is a man of Jesus, right, first and foremost. And he's showing one of his friends getting baptized and actually literally going into the water with the preacher right there on his Instagram stories. There he is with Jalen Brunson. This is what I want to talk about. He's hooked up with Jalen Brunson at the sanctuary in New York, where the Players Association has a basketball court. And there he is with his old teammate from the Knicks, the two former Knicks point guards. Well, they're now going to be adversaries and facing off each other in starting lineups. So it's good to see Emmanuel still tight with Brunson. Of course, he's going to be very tight with his New York guys forever because that's just a part of his career, and we respect that from Raptors Nation. That's right. There's a picture of Emmanuel with the young lady and a picture of him in the Eiffel Tower, I guess from around Olympics time. There he is running in the runs, and we see Emmanuel's very sweaty. And there is that stop and pop at the three, and there he is shooting at the camera. Yeah, he's ready, man. I love the way he dribbles. I love, he's very fundamentally good. When the guy attacks, he knows how to hit his arm off and get around him, and then boom, he's open for a shot, and he's hitting it at the top of the three. So, man, I am excited about this, Trevor. You got me hyped about this. Looks like Emmanuel's also at a fashion show in the last day or so, it looks like. And there's more work of him on the court working out. That's right. You're exactly right. He's been working out a lot. Also, yesterday, Raptors 905 had their fan fest. Stripes and the coaches of the Raptors and lots of kids. And they had a bouncy castle and all kinds of different stuff going on there. Looks like they had some paramedics and cops there to talk to the kids too. But yeah, very cool to see the drills and Raptors 905 coaches clinic, fan fest going on yesterday. There's some artists writing on some stuff. They're teaching defense. They're doing all kinds of drills and things with the kids. Oh, there's a turtle. They actually had a big turtle on the court eating some lettuce, and the kids are all petting the turtle shell. And there's the hoop game for Raptors 905. Looks like Fan Fest was a fun fest. Always good stuff going on with the community and our Raptors teams, 905 and the regular Raptors. Love seeing the Fan Fest. So many happy people. And there's Stripes with the mic acting like a goof. Yeah, we love you, Stripes. There's your Raptors Instagram check. Yeah, Emmanuel and Jalen Brunson reunited this weekend. Hanging out and taking a picture with him. Yeah. Nameless saying, let's fucking go. There you go, Nameless. Good to see you. Always happy to see our plumber friend. Nameless in the house. Nameless, do you come out to Georgina region? I need a new plumber, my guy. Maybe I need to hire you as a plumber. Seriously. We should still hook you up with Tada so you can help them if they have any big plumbing jobs too, since Nameless is a full-fledged plumber now. Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. That to you. I have nothing bad to say about DeMar either. Listen, people that have dissed DeMar after we traded him, you're just cruel. In some ways, nobody needed to insult him or talk trash about him after we traded him. That was wrong and sad. In some ways, I still feel like, if we could have switched Kawhi out and got that chip with DeMar, that would have been awesome. He deserved it more than Kawhi Leonard in some ways to me because of what he did to build us up to there. So, and even people now, there's some people still trying to stoke this conflict. Like there's some teeny bopper, Tiger Beat, Glamour magazine little writer. I don't know who she is, but she's written a whole article about DeMar's book signing on Friday and saying that some people here are not saying he's not welcome because of the not like us thing. So she went and found a couple of quotes from jabronis who are out there that have no perspective. They don't have the heritage or history of the Raptors like we do on the Raptor Free channel to understand the whole story about DeMar. Maybe you're just a Johnny come lately. Maybe you're more of a Drake fan than a Raptors fan, and you're kind of trying to say, yeah, DeMar's not welcome in Toronto. He shouldn't be coming here this week for a book signing. Y'all are on that tip. Just shut the fuck up is what I'm going to say right now. Because seriously, he has every right to come to Toronto as many times and whenever he wants to. I'll give that man the key to the city. And I'll give him a number 10 up in the rafters also later. So yeah, anybody who's saying, yeah, DeMar, you don't come up here. You've shown your side. You've shown your colors with Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, fuck y'all. They're saying that to DeMar. Let the man come up here. Let that man heal even further by coming up and doing something nice for our community. Because in some ways, that service for our community will help heal him. I'm serious. It'll help heal us too. So yeah. That's what I always say to those people. And why are these article people making audiences for these people? Seriously, we don't need to hear the trolls and the social media idiots that are all over the place these days. There's so much asinine in the past. It's just social media. And if there's one dissenting comment, well, we better put that in for balance. Yeah, DeMar, you're very welcome here. And everybody who's saying that you aren't, fuck them. Fuck those idiots. Seriously. Trevor's saying women's wheelchair basketball gold medal games. Netherlands beat USA. Canada will play for bronze. Okay, interesting. I believe that already went down. I thought I saw that they got fourth. I'm not totally sure, Trevor. Amos is saying hip hop music exists to influence the public to emulate their behavior. That's all. Crime is good for business, so they want more of it. I mean, that's not totally true. And maybe, man, you can't just say this about the whole genre because there's so many artists that have done healing hip hop works. And that's why I like the cerebral, like, means stands for something kind of genre. You know, you can go back, and Public Enemy may have been militant. Public Enemy may have been very much talking about very tough subjects, but that was a very healing, powerful, cerebral, intelligent hip hop that Chuck D was spitting when he was running around with Flavor Flav and Terminator X. I'm just saying, you know, there's levels to this. And in some ways, we may not get all the vernacular of Not Like Us as old heads or something, or as people that aren't from Compton. But this is a powerful message for that community, obviously. And once again, Kendrick and DeMar have both very much stated that this is a unity message, even if it doesn't sound like it. I mean, in some ways, we could say Not Like Us sounds very divisive. But in some ways, if you actually listen to the artist and listen to the, you know, DeMar, who's involved in that thing, if you look at their perspective about it, it's about uniting the Bloods and the Crips. And that the whole thing about it is kind of like reject the fluent, maybe suburban, maybe even white culture that is so easy. And it's like, you just don't have any idea what it's like to be us. That's really what the message about that is. Now, he took a cheap shot at Drake in many, many places. And he took a cheap shot at us in some ways about us not deserving DeRozan. But I'll say this: DeMar DeRozan deserved what he got because it's made him grow and become an amazing person in certain ways. He was already an amazing person, but he grew even more, and he made a positive out of a very negative experience for himself. So in some ways, you could say he didn't deserve that treatment. You're right. He probably didn't deserve to get traded to the Spurs by Masai. But at the same time, because he got that happen, he got something so much better and beautiful from it in some ways. So in some ways, maybe he did deserve it because he grew, much like a butterfly comes out of a cocoon from a caterpillar. He grew from this. So it's a weird thing, and I won't disagree with you, Nameless. We could talk about Biggie and Tupac and all this stupid shit, and that model for the East versus West kind of rap beef to sell records. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't pay attention to the useless artists in that are really just not have anything important to say or anything worthwhile to say. If it's just about booty girls and money at a gas station and ops and saying I'm gonna ride through your neighborhood real slow, yeah, that's not good music. If there's a hip hop artists like Earth Gang or different other people that are putting out messages that are about like stories about like what they deal with and stuff like that, NWA, they may have been like crazy and did stuff, but they told stories from the hood that actually were kind of like needed to be told, even if they were also saying "fuck the police." So it's complicated. We can't just make one sweeping thing and say that this just exists for this purpose, because there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Fiercey saying, "Good morning, fam, and happy Sunday." Good morning to you, MJ. I hope you're having a great morning so far, waking up. Dear DeRozan loves Toronto. Why would he commit to the book signing here? He knows it's all love. That's right. I mean, it's important. He has a huge market up here. We talked about recently players not like messing up in Toronto to lose business opportunities. I don't even think it's about that. It really is that there's a lot of like, seriously, DeMar looks at us like an old girlfriend. And that, in some ways it's hard to be around her because you remember the memories of how it used to be. But it's also like, you kind of are very glad that you were in that relationship because see, you can date somebody for a long time and then you're not with them anymore. But you can look back fondly on things that you did or accomplished with them. And, you don't have to be a hater of it, even if it didn't end well. Seriously, I was married and I was with my ex-wife for 5 years. And there's a lot of growing and learning from that experience. In fact, if I hadn't got divorced, I may not be sober right now. So there's always in cataclysm and tragedy and problems in our life, there are ways to heal and sometimes become a better person because of it. And I think that's the story of DeMar right there, for sure. For sure. Nameless is saying hip hop artists are the original influencers. Please know the agenda before consume hip hop and rap. It exists to destroy you subliminally. Yeah, I can't say that, man. That's crazy talk. And in some ways, I won't generalize like that, nameless. I won't. Because honestly, De La Soul is not that. Let's go listen to De La Soul. You tell me what De La Soul is all about. Seriously. You go tell me. Seriously. In some ways, listen, that genre has come from we need to get more for us because we have not been equally treated. We need to call out police brutality. We need to call out, the unfair profiling by police racially. In some ways, this is a fight that Public Enemy, KRS-One, and all those early pioneers of hip hop were fighting before Floyd and Derek Chauvin and things like that. So yeah, no, I can't get with this. I can't get with this. Sure, there's mindless hip hop that is useless and the basis stupid as shit. But there's also heavy metal that's like that. There's all other genres that are like this. And to just like indict one whole genre of music is ridiculous, nameless. Ridiculous. You say destroy you subliminally? That's not how I feel when I hear 3 feet high and rising. So yeah, you can't say this, man. You're being too generalizing. Too generalizing. Seymour saying, oh, Larry, whoop, whoop. I wouldn't change a thing about our chip season. Larry, over everything. Listen, in some ways we sold our souls to get Larry. In some ways, Masai did really make a pact or a deal with the devil in some ways on that championship with how he did DeMar. And I get it. Some people are like, we're going to have a wide range of Raptors fans, and they're going to have different opinions on how this all went down and how it was. And some of them will be like, yeah, I don't care. I'm okay with it and stuff like that. But I want to give all due respect to a greatest Raptor of all time, DeMar DeRozan, and just applaud him. Seriously, he's a hero to me. And there's things that he's done with his life that are absolutely admirable, guys. Seriously, because look, you fall into that kind of depression, you can get suicidal. You can get like very abusive to people around you. There's all kinds of different ways this could have gone. And instead, you know what he found? He found his way to being a confident family man, as a father, and being a real good role model for his kids and just doing the right thing in certain ways when, you know what, there were a lot of opportunities probably for him to act out and make it worse. And he didn't do that, which is actually really amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy we won the championship. I think Masai is a genius. I think that he was one of the ballsiest moves that anybody's ever done in the NBA's history to trade DeMar like that. Because in some ways, what do they say? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Well, you got a guy that's going to die for your team and you're going to sell him out like that. You better be sure that you're making the right calculation. And boy, did he. Did he. I mean, if we had not gotten all the way there, this could have really been bad for Ujiri and really, really blown up in his face a really bad way in 2019 if we had not gone all the way in some ways. Seriously, in hindsight, some people would say, yeah, we sold out DeMar for nothing. If that had happened, this would be a totally different situation. Nameless is saying the people who own all the prisons in the USA also own all the record labels. Coincidence? There's no such thing as coincidence. I mean, I don't know if that's totally true. I mean, there's small independent record labels. I mean, listen, Nameless, it sounds like you're very like it's all right. I'm glad you're back in the chat. That's what I'll say right here. I'm not going to disagree with you about the prison for profit system in the United States is fucked up. And in some ways, there are parallels between the economics of making money off of prisoners and also the exploitation of hip hop artists by, record label people. So, yeah, I won't disagree that there's some parallels here, but I don't know if these are the exact same people that are owning both. I don't think I can say that. G saying all the love to DeMar. I hope his book sells well. I'm sure it will help others. I'm all about it. Yeah, I can't wait to read it myself. I know that, it really is a big part of it, G, is that DeMar had to find his true north or his sense of justice again. You know how it is, y'all. You live your life and you want to see that justice is served. We want to believe that everything evens out. The good people get good things, bad people get bad things that happen to them. And in some ways, DeMar having what happened to him where he didn't do anything wrong and he got traded from the team that he loved was a really hard, difficult thing for him. He didn't feel like there was any justice in the world when he got sent to San Antonio. So one of the most important things, and one of the things that's in this book, is how he was searching for a new sense of a justice in this world where things are right and the world feels just. Because you can get really depressed and really feel like disenchanted with the world when you feel like the world is just completely shit and unfair and just not right in certain ways. You know what I'm talking about. In some ways, we feel this at times, like especially Trump. Trump's done all these crimes Yet he still just carte blanche gets to try and run for president. If he was a person of color, he would have been sold down the river and sent to the Huskow way long time ago. But no, because he is this megalomaniac, idiot, fucking crazy person. You know, he's being ensconced and protected. I mean, I can't believe the Police Benevolence Society has recently endorsed him when he had people like beating up and killing some of y'all's cops at January 6th. Seriously, it's disgusting. So we can see the dichotomy of fairness in society and see somebody getting propped up like Trump. That's unfair. That's not just. And that makes a lot of people kind of feel like, well, this world isn't fair. Like if Trump can be a complete criminal and still run for president, well, that's not justice. And that's how I kind of feel about this. Like DeMar said, I did everything right for the Raptors, and Masai still traded me. Well, his sense of justice was turned upside down. He didn't feel like there was a real justice in the world. That's what part of it was right there. It's really, really important to find that in some ways. And in some ways, you got to rationalize the insanity of the world to get back to that point where you feel like things are just in some sort of way. It's tough because these politicians are crooked and criminals. And man, they're really bad. Like I feel like there's no sense of justice in Ontario with Doug Ford. This guy should have been in trouble and out of office already for his crazy ass business deals with rich people, whether it's Therme, whether it's the Greenbelt scandal. So I have a hard time right now. I feel like DeMar DeRozan in some ways because I don't feel like there's justice or fairness in this world because we can have a corrupt ass premier of Ontario named Doug Ford. So, I mean, there's levels to this. Brian's saying, what up, Freak Nation? Dap. Speaking about mental health openly helps out others and yourself. Work for me. And so kudos to DeMar. There you go. That's why we want to normalize this. For too long in the history of time, Brian, that men were supposed to just shut up and just be unemotional and not show sensitivity, not be allowed to show grief, not be allowed to, like, you become a wimp or you get ostracized by other men. That's toxic masculinity. And in some ways, the society and the world don't need that no more. Men that are saying, oh, boo hoo hoo, like somebody, like the thing that happened with Tim Wall's son when he was crying and that's my dad, that's my dad. So many toxic masculinity motherfuckers came out of the woodworks and saying, oh, I'd be so ashamed of that blithering idiot of his son. You know, who the fuck are you, you heartless pieces of shit? Yeah, you want to see Brave? Brave is being a kid like him who's neurodivergent, living in a cruel ass world with sorry pieces of shit like you is what I'd say to everybody who had something to say about Gus Walls. So, I mean, it's crazy. We need to be more caring and looking out for each other, especially if the shit hits the fan on this planet in different ways, whether it's war, famine, or climate change. We got to get together and work with each other. And you know what? Everybody's trying to be macho man and not be in touch with their feelings and stuff like that. Y'all may go like the dinosaurs and be extinct. Seriously. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, appreciate you being here, Brian. And To The Point, y'all. Check out To The Point, Brian's channel. It's a great Raptors-related content channel on YouTube. T.O.The Point. Kareem's here. He's saying, listen, I love DeMar, the b-ball player, but you already know where I stand with the circumstances off the court. After his trade, he ran to Drake's house and cried. How do you take sides? Just stay out of it. You know, listen, Drake, and listen, he's still cool with Drake. And in some ways, I get it. You know, once again, we have to separate what each thing is. Kendrick Lamar is the songwriter. Kendrick Lamar is the one who has the problem with Drake. DeMar doesn't. In some ways, the only reason why DeMar is in the video with Kendrick Lamar is because they're from the same neighborhood and they've known each other forever. And that Kendrick specifically asked for DeMar to be involved. And in some ways, DeMar was touched. In some ways, like I've said, it's not that DeMar in some ways is being used as a pawn, but he really doesn't have a side in this beef. He's totally cool with Drake still. And in some ways, this whole thing between Kendrick Lamar and Drake is like WWE, honestly. And if we want to buy into the bloodline versus the this people or this people, we can do that if we want to. If we want to get into the whole like pretend of it. In some ways, that's part of what this is that, you know, in some ways, we don't know how much Kendrick and Drake actually hate each other right now. They may actually be like, yeah, we're selling a lot of records and it worked really well. You know, that's how it is in wrestling. The bad guys and the good guys talk in the backstage where nobody sees them and they figure out what they're doing. So I don't know. In some ways, you can't do this in some ways, Kareem, because the person, if you're going to say you love the basketball player, well, that's great. That's great. But the person, you should love him too, even if it's kind of weird and kind of like murky. some of the things you think about him because of this. Really, it's just a music song. It's just a song. And in some ways, some people have hijacked it for other purposes of division and tried to use it in different places. No, the place where it fits is you're not like us because you're not from Compton. And that's basically where it fits right there. If you're not from the inner city, if you're not from the wrong side of the tracks, if you're not from some other inner place that's dilapidated or not done very well because of not getting funding, not getting support from infrastructure or government, yeah, you're not like us. That's the message of Kendrick Lamar right there. Yeah, that's the message right there. Nameless saying, I will never speak ill of DeMar DeRozan again. There you go, Nameless. Okay, so my spiel and what I just said got through to different people about this. Seriously, he's a real one. And listen, it means so much that he's back in Toronto this week. You know, he could have seriously turned his cold shoulder to us, but he didn't. He didn't. And look, that's so giving. He's coming to Cam H to talk to the youth and to talk to our youth in our community and helping them. And very specifically, youth that are like him, youth that are like him from that's what I'm saying. See, he says they're not like us. Well, there are kids in our neighborhoods that are like DeMar in Compton. You know, kids in Jane and Finch, kids in certain neighborhoods out in Scarborough that may need to hear what DeMar has to say. And, you know, he may be able to be very helpful to some of the youth in our community. Seriously, seriously. Yeah, Blackhawk saying we're going to need some DeMar and Kyle culture style today to get back to where we were or even higher. The bar is set high for IQ, SB, and RJ. Well, one of the things I love about DeMar and Kyle, and this is something I really hope Scotty and RJ and Emmanuel understand, is don't stratify yourself above the rest of the team. Scotty, you have a very close friend named Jonathan Mobo that's on our team now. And yeah, it's real easy for y'all to go be two amigos and just go off in your own world. But the more that you can involve people like Grady and your other teammates in different things outside is better. You know, that was one of the things that was important to DeMar and Kyle as the leaders of the Raptors in the 2010s is that they never stratified themselves above the rest of the team like LeBron did. If there was a team function, a team practice, or any kind of team activity, they were never too big or bad to not go to it. You know, that was part of the reason why Kawhi and Kyle did not get along in the championship year is because Kawhi didn't act in that way like DeMar used to, where everybody's all for one, one for all. If we're going as a team, we're going to do it as a team. Team dinners, team functions, team everything. The leaders of our team were there, Lowry and DeRozan. And, well, Leonard, he opted out on all kinds of shit. And he was distant and detached from the team in different ways. On the court, he was connected. That was great. But otherwise, you know, Pascal said recently, Kawhi didn't talk to us about anything in the background or anything. He just showed up. He led by example, not with his voice. So in some ways, I really hope that Scotty and the young leaders on our new Raptors rebuild will not stratify themselves from the rest of the team. If there's something going on, Scotty, go to it. And don't act like you're too big and bad and too good because you're an all-star over the other guys. That's a really important thing and how Kyle and DeMar built this team right in the years that they were here. So I want them to do that. I want them to do that, these youngsters. They need to be this way. Seriously, really, really touching to see DeMar and Kyle this week palling around in pictures and the smiles. And in some ways, you can see in those pictures how much DeMar is healed, that how much there's not a black energy around him of depression and sadness weighing on his shoulders and his face. You can tell that he's cleared a lot of the hard, heavy lifting work that it takes to deal with your mental health on this issue. And man, I'm so proud of him, man. Nameless saying there was a time I was upset with him, just like everybody else, but I'm over it. I am too. And seriously, in some ways, it's just like, you know, we got to identify with him in some ways because he is a really good person to identify with. He's a loyal person. He's a really, really good guy. He works hard. He's a real one. He always has been a real one. And that's the craziest thing. When you can be a real one for somebody who did you wrong, that is so powerful. Like you can have a date. Like this is a crazy thing. All right, here's a crazy story from my past. Way, way back. I used to date this girl that I used to work with at Florida State at a lecture center. There was a center that they had lectures at, and she was part of the catering. And I was one of the people who helped set up the classrooms for the lectures. And well, we just started dating, and she was weird. She was from Pensacola, and her name was Kristen. And I got her a scorpion for her birthday, and she loved it. But she was crazy. She was wild. She was a very wild girl. She had done some heavy drugs in her past, so she was really, really kind of out there. And well, I mean, she was also like there was that happened, but we broke up and we weren't talking anymore. And well, I didn't really hear from her until one day, and it was right around college football championship bowl season. Florida State was playing in a bowl game, and it was like one of the first weeks of the year in January. And I got a call from her, and she said, "I am on the highway, I-10, out in between Pensacola and Tallahassee. I'm stranded, and I'm at a rest area. I'm scared, and I'm in a really bad place." Well, you know what? I could have just hung up on her and ignored it. I could have just sat there and continued to watch the FSU bowl game with all my friends that were at my house. But no, I got in the car and I went and got her. I went and picked her up, and I brought her back to Tallahassee. And the whole time in the car, on the way after picking her up, she just cussed me out and said what a piece of crap I was and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But you know what? I was there for her, even though she did me wrong all kinds of different ways. In some ways, there's a power to that. There's a power to that, to being above and being still a humanitarian to help somebody out, even though you have no reason to help them. So in some ways, Damar is that kind of action, man. We did him so wrong, but he still wants to come back here and help our kids. In some ways, he could have really burned that bridge, but he hasn't on the down low. And that's why when he retires and everything's done in his playing career, he's going to circle back and get all his just desserts and honors and kudos and flowers from Raptors Nation in Toronto and Canada as a country too. And that's going to be very, very special. Trust me. In some ways, that's going to heal it finally. If we're having the scar heal over the years since 2018 when he got traded to the San Antonio Spurs from us, the time it comes back around and we see that number 10 go up in the rafters at the Scotiabank Arena, that will be a very healing moment for him. Trust me. That will be a very healing moment. And that's why in some ways he deserves it first. He deserves it first because he was a sacrificial lamb for us to get to that. And in some ways, that sacrifice that he gave us for us to get that, man, in some ways, I don't want to say it's like somebody, but they celebrate this guy in the morning on Sundays. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Blackhawk saying DeMar can come back as our sixth man. You know, I'd love for him to circle back. I mean, I think it could be healing too. But once again, they're on the record saying they would not come back here and play regularly for us, either one of them, without the other. So we'd have to get Kyle and DeMar if either one of them would come play any kind of games for us. Kareem saying, listen, I didn't know he was doing his book signing in Toronto. I'll respect that. So instead, 15 to 20 years, I'll say give me 5 to 10. Book signings here is a big deal. Obviously, we love him more than Inglewood. Yeah, I mean, he's doing the book signing in New York. He is doing one in California, and he is doing one here. I don't know of any other dates. He's doing the 2 major cities in the U.S. and us. And I mean, that's a big deal. He's taking the time to come up here. And like I said, he's not just coming for his own gain. He's coming to give back to our community too at Cam H. And that's a big deal. Blackhawk saying, if I'm in the area, I would go to the book signing. I went to Danny Green's podcast events when he held them downtown. That's cool. I like that. Yeah, I bet those were fun. Yeah, I think it's a hot ticket, and there may not be spots that are very available at this point, because there was a limited amount of tickets for the Indigo Books event on Friday, the 13th, this week coming up. So, yeah, if you're going to try and do it, you better try and do it now if you're going to try and go to that event, because I'm sure it's going to be very well attended and not much left for it. Yeah. Fiercely saying mental health is crucial and dealing with struggles, hurt, and pain matters. Sending love and light. Yeah. I mean, I've had my own issues with depression and all kinds of different things. And, you know, I can understand a lot of what DeMar's gone through in the dark night of the soul, that when you're alone and by yourself and you just have your thoughts and you're just going through everything that happened to you, and especially if you feel like you were wronged, you can really get like a sense of like anger against the world because you felt like you were done dirty. And, you know, in some ways you can really go into that energy more and more, and it's not helpful for you. It's not. It can be very destructive. So it's really tough to deal with your darkness by yourself and come out with like such great things. Like as far as this book, as far as the role model he is, as far as the conversation he started, this is just bigger than basketball. It's really, really bigger than basketball. It's for everybody. It's not. That's why in some ways he's one of the most important NBA players that ever played, because his mental health stuff on the side is very humanitarian. Seriously, so humanitarian. Let's see. Fiercey's also saying about the whole situation. Let's see. It jumped ahead. I'll make sure I find my spot. Lots of good comments today, guys. I really appreciate everybody being here this morning. Let's see. Fiercey saying, I truly wish DeMar's presence will heal and help those who need it the most at Cam age. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? He could change a young man's or young woman's life this week. Seriously, he could come in there and say something to somebody that's just poignant and it just rings true with them. And all of a sudden, some of the healing is starting for them because they heard it from him. Yeah, Fiercey saying, Lex, that was a beautiful testimony to DeMar. Appreciate that, Fiercey. It comes straight from here. And it comes from personal experience. And it comes from the same pain I had with him on August of 2018. I was so mad at Masai, guys. I was so mad at him. I did not understand what the hell we were doing. And I had no idea if Kawhi was going to flake on us. I was really worried that Kawhi was going to just do like an Alonzo Mourning and say something like, yeah, fuck y'all, I'm not even coming. But it worked out. It worked out so beautifully. But yeah, I was with him. There was a month in 2018 where I wasn't a Raptors fan for a while. I was so pissed off when Masai traded him. I was confused, and I had actually decided I wasn't going to watch the NBA that year. I wasn't going to even watch our team the year we won the championship because I was so mad about DeMar. And I was also mad because the Warriors got DeMarcus Cousins, and it was just like they were script writing the Warriors to win another championship. So I was like, why even watch? The Warriors are obviously going to get another championship. It's so boring. And the Raptors just sold DeMar DeRozan out. And I'm like, man, I was in a rough place at that time, too. I was so mad. I'm not lying. I really was. Andrew saying, good morning, people. 28 days until Raptors basketball. There you go. And there's Justin and the Raptor and the Maple Leaf. Good stuff. Kaz is saying good morning. Good morning to you, Raptor Freak Kaz, 2929. Seymour saying, do you think more Raptors fans have DeRozan jerseys or Carter's jersey? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, Carter's jersey is in vogue in certain ways, and DeMar's isn't. But, DeMar was on our team for 9 years, and there were a lot of jerseys made for DeMar DeRozan. There's a lot of people that have a lot of throwback jerseys of DeMar DeRozan that are still hanging around. Seriously, you'd be shocked. I don't know what the raw number totals are, Seymour Pate, but I'd be very curious to see that. It's probably likely that Carter does have more jerseys in existence out there. And maybe partly because he was around before him and they made more jerseys since, like over the time. But I don't know. I couldn't say. I mean, the fact that if you rival Vince Carter or you're anywhere near the amount of jerseys that he has, well, that means you're pretty good too, right? Yeah. David's saying neither. Neither. Do you think more Raptors fans have DeRozan or Carter? I think that those are pretty popular jerseys, David. So I wouldn't say that. All right, since David's here, Commissioner of Trivia, let's do the classic card of the day. We'll get more serious today. I apologize for being emotional today, but I'm not. Because in some ways, I have no problem with being sensitive to this story because it's very personal in some ways to me. And also, it should be very personal to Raptors fans. Seriously, because DeMar's story is a very important story in our history, guys. All right, here we go. Let's see what we do here. This is a newer card, a newer player. David's at 1009. I'll make sure that I come back to the right spot. All right, let's see. Mosaic, once again, very shiny card. I don't know if you guys will get this one. It's kind of easy and tough. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here with this card. Who is that? That looks weird. I'm not even totally sure. I don't know this player very well. So if you guys know this player, it's a more recent player. We might need Amit Gaming. He knows all the more recent players. But yeah, who is that? The Mosaic makes it. Yeah, that's actually kind of his first name, Bryce. But don't half-ass me. You're on the right track. But that's not actually his first name, but it's very close. It's very, very close. So if you figure it out, write more of it in, Bryce Lawson. Thank you for your guess. Oh man, excuse me, just a little burp there. Let's see. Yeah, that's not his first name, but you got to add one more letter or change one letter. And you'll have his first name. And his last name is the street I used to live on when I lived in Toronto just recently. So that kind of gives away the whole name right there. If you can figure out from Bryce, you can Seagull this answer, guys. It is mostly right, the name he put down. but and the last name is the name of the street that I lived on when in Leslieville before I moved out here. So if you know that, there you know. Yeah, David's saying rough. This player is very unknown. In some ways, he's not a big time player in the league. So let me see. If I put it on the back, maybe that'll help. It's not as shiny. There is that guy. It's that guy. Atlanta Hawks, number 30. Yeah, this is a rough card. This guy's not very well known. So in some ways, it's understandable why we're kind of struggling with this. But I gave y'all really good clues. Yeah, you forget his name, Bryce. Yeah, kind of looks a little bit like Abaji. Yeah, I would agree with that. He's a little bit like Abaji. He may even be kind of the same position. Um, I don't know, guys. In some ways, it's like we're giving you good clues. Bryce has the first name mostly right. His last name is the street I used to live on in Leslieville, and I brought it up recently. And those who know, know. Those who know. But yeah, nobody's getting on top of this one here. Sometimes we struggle with these, I guess. It's just how it happens. Right up in there. As close as possible. Who is that? Who is that? There we go. Andrew knows. That's Damian Jones, a Cavs legend. All right, Andrew's getting the classic card of the day, David. Thank you, Andrew, for getting the card. Damian Jones is the right name on there. A Panini Mosaic classic card of the day. If you guys like the card, you can get it at the next Raptor Freak Hangout. It'll be in the box. Yeah, 150 points for Andrew. Thank you for getting us out of there, Andrew. I was like, man, this card is really obscure. And thank God Andrew did it. Thank you, Andrew. Really, really good. All right, let's see. Trevor J saying Angel Reese has a season-ending injury. I feel bad for her. Well, the season's over on a week from today. Yeah, next Sunday is the last day of the season. Now, are they in the playoffs? That's part of the problem. Chicago Sky, if they got playoff aspirations, yeah, that's tough. That's too bad. And I'm hearing she's out for a year, is what they're saying. Or they mean that she's just out for the rest of the year. I don't know. Hopefully she's ready to play at the beginning of next year's WNBA season. It's too bad. Amazing rookie year. Too bad she's going to miss the last week of the season and the playoffs. But yeah, I didn't like seeing that news. I did not. Yeah, she got hurt. No. Seymour saying, no. She got hurt. Yeah. Yeah, we don't like that. Kareem said, David smoked me yesterday in fantasy, leaving my girls with way too much ground to make up to the finals. All right, we'll check in on that real quick. Yeah, I caught up some ground on MK in my matchup. It's now 430, 331. But, man, I think Meredith's got it for sure. And then I see, yeah, you're about 55 points behind David right now. That's going to be tough to make up for today. So, yeah, it's really looking like our commissioner of trivia, David Saborin, will be facing off the current WNBA champion from last year in our fantasy league, Meredith. And that's going to be the final round. And Kareem, you and I were playing for the bronze. That's right. It'll be you against me next week, full ass. That's right. That's right. Trevor's saying Dennis Rodman recently said his father has 45 kids in the Philippines and that he is the oldest. Okay, that's non sequitur. I mean, I've never heard about this before, but I could see that it could be probably true. You know, somebody posted something about Rodman recently, and it really did kind of make me like, yeah, this guy's lived a full life. You think about what Rodman did. Rodman won 5 NBA championships. He's a defensive player of the year. His NBA career is a Hall of Fame career and all that stuff. But besides all that, this man dated Madonna. This man was married to Carmen Electra. This guy was in the NWO and was on wrestling. This guy befriended a dictator in North Korea and went over there and was a diplomat. He's been in movies with people like Jean-Claude Van Damme and other people. You know, he's had a full life. He's a real legend. And his life is totally not like most people's. And I appreciate Dennis Rodman for being a true legend on and off the court. Because, yeah, he's crazy. In some ways, some people say, yeah, he married himself also. He had that wedding dress at one time at his book signing. Yeah, Dennis has lived a full life and maybe a little crazy, maybe a little destructive, but also he has really gotten usage of his life. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. David said, yeah, you're effed, Kareem. Yeah, you guys are on your way. David and Meredith to the best team win. Let's see if Meredith can go a completely undefeated season. That's the thing. If he beats you, David, Meredith did not lose a single damn game this whole entire year, and that's an amazing accomplishment. That's an amazing accomplishment. In fact, we'll have to see which one of you guys win. I'm gonna say this because David, you brought this to me, the little trophy. If you win, I'm not gonna give this back to you. But if Meredith wins, your trophy's going to him, and that ring and that little Larry O'Brien's gonna be going to Ottawa for MK. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna do to give him a championship. Is that we're gonna give your trophy in that little box that you sent me. I'm gonna send it to Meredith if he beats you. But if it doesn't happen, well, maybe I'll send it back to you. I see we're saying, Kareem, did you have Reese on your squad? No, the craziest thing is that JP Country Kong had Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and his team was called Reese's Nieces. And you want to know, Seymour, he came in last in the league. I don't understand how he did this. He did not manage his team right, but he had all the cool rookies on his team, and it didn't go right for him. He had Reese on his team. His team was named the Reese's Nieces, like Reese's Pieces, Reese's Nieces. And he still came in last. He didn't even make the playoffs. It's crazy. It's crazy. Kareem saying, no, I don't have Reese. At this point, I need Cheryl Swoops, Candace Parker to catch David. Yeah, some Nancy Lieberman too. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, Swoops. Maybe some Rebecca Lobo. That might help you. David saying, nice match, though. Seriously, it wasn't clear at all who was going to win this week for the most part. Yeah, you guys had a better match than my match with MK. He really, he's so good. Like, seriously, I don't understand this. This guy really knows the WNBA. In some ways, he's going to be like one of our WNBA experts when we start this new team. Like, I'm going to be relying on you, Meredith, just so you know. I know Meredith doesn't watch us now. He's a later watcher. Like, he's not a live watcher, but he watches us every day. And I'm sure he's going to watch this later. He's going to have a big smile on his face. Yeah, you're awesome. Good job this year, MK. Amazing job this year. Yeah, David's saying Nameless is in the house. Been a while. Yeah, the man's been working. He's got a Sunday of rest. He's not out there plumbing the plums. So he's got time. I want some Italian lessons, my guy. I miss my Rosetta Stone. Come on now. Kareem saying my older brother wasn't allowed to wear Public Enemy Fight the Power shirt in grade school. This was before the Rodney King beating. Damn, what a time. Yeah, the thing about Fight the Power is, sure, it may scare some white people, but honestly, it is a needed message of fight the power, fight the institutionalized racism of our society and system. That's what it's all about right there. Yeah, that's what Chuck D is talking about. This isn't about ops in the neighborhood and Bloods and the Crips. No, this is about fighting the institutionalized system of racism in American society. And that's what Chuck D was talking about the whole time. Fight the power. Fight that power is what he's talking about right there. Yeah, Trevor saying, y'all realize that we are the last generation on Earth that knows what life was like before social media. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Yeah, that's crazy to me. I hate that in some ways. In some ways, it's a much darker, weirder world when, your bullies and people can be finding you at home because of social media. Before, you at least you get away from school and you don't have anything like that. That's the scary thing about this. In some ways, there's way too much on there. I mean, we may be wanting to be more like the Mennonites at some point, the Amish, and be like rejecting electronics and computers and everything and just going back to more of a simple life without all that noise. There's a lot of people that do that already on different levels. So, yeah, it's a weird situation. You're exactly right, Trevor. We're a Generation X is a weird generation that's bridging the old to the new. And it's such a very, very huge change. The internet, computers, social media, Facebook, that really has changed society in very, very deep ways. And at least when we were younger, we had bikes and we rode around the neighborhoods with our friends and we built forts and we did stuff like that. In some ways, the kids today aren't getting the same experience. And that's kind of scary in some ways. I'll say that. Yeah. Wayne's saying we love DeMar, and please keep DeMar out of this Kendrick Lamar conversation. If Kendrick Lamar was white, those lyrics would be classified as offensive. Hip hop has been destructive of late. A lot of us are biracial. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite on that. Boom goes the dynamite. I like this. And I'm with Wayne. I really wish artists would take the responsibility of art a lot more seriously. But part of it is indicative of corporations and money and using the formula that works. And it seems like the formula that works commonly in hip hop right now is to be kind of like a mumble rapper who's singing about hoes and ops and riding by and my shooters and stuff like that. And it's really just a formula. It's not even that these guys are original. It's not even that these guys are worthwhile. It's just a formula that has been proven that will sell units or records or downloads or whatever they're selling these days. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I wish there were more worthwhile artists that were put on blast. In some ways, that's the tough thing is you got to make it through the corporate machine that wants to shape you and own the way you put out your music. And that's been the fight between record companies and artists for a long, long time over the decades, is that we want creative expression and we want to be able to put out there what we want. Well, no, that's controversial. You won't sell as many records making a flute album, Andre 3000. No, but I want to do this for my own creativity and stuff. That's the problem right there. The machine hates innovation. The machine hates anything raging against it. And in some ways, the corporate machine of music snuffs that out. So the best thing to do these days is get on YouTube and find the obscure artists, the independent artists, the artists that aren't getting the full blast, and find them, because they are still out there. It's just that they're not getting as much of an audience because the machine won't promote them. So they're out there, Wayne. There are very conscious artists that are still doing good work. It's just that they're not getting put on blast. And the cookie cutter, formulaic music industry is shoving the same kind of artists over and over again down our throats. And that's happening in all genres. That's not just happening in hip hop. That's happening in country. That's happening in metal. That's happening in rock. That's happening all over the place. It's happening in contemporary music. You know, they found out different tones that attract the music, and all the music sounds the same. And originality goes out the window. Artistry goes out the window, you know? So, yeah, I hear you on this. They're still out there. They're still out there. It's just you got to find them. Andrew saying, I wonder how DeMar is going to do with the Kings, if he'll re-sign with them. You know, he's got 9 years with us, 3 years with the Spurs, 3 years with the Bulls. Is he going to have 3 years with the Kings? And then that'll be 18 years of NBA basketball, half of it on the Raptors, and then the other half with 3 different teams for 3 years. I mean, that could be what happens. I don't know. We'll have to see how the experiment goes. We'll have to see how the Kings treat him. I think so far they've done really well welcoming him. And I think it is really special, even if it's not the same part of California, that he is back in his home state. You know, I think he really did want to play for the Lakers, and fuck the Lakers for dissing him and not letting him come in and be on that team. In some ways, he's better than y'all. You know what? I would say this. Y'all don't deserve him, Lakers. How about that? I don't think y'all deserve him because you had your opportunity to take him and you took Westbrook instead. And LeBron, fuck you for not choosing DeMar at that point. You should have let him have his childhood dream to play for the Lakers. And anybody who's gatekeeping DeMar DeRozan from playing for the Lakers, fuck you. You don't deserve him. How about that? And that kind of energy that Kendrick Lamar has towards us, to them. Because honestly, you didn't even open the door or give him an opportunity. He built himself in Toronto. So you tell me who fucking deserves DeMar DeRozan. Because LeBron easily could have said, hey, Rob Pelinka, you're putting DeMar DeRozan on this team right now when he was available and he was ready to come and play for the Lakers. But no, you dissed him. You rejected him. And you went with Russell Westbrook. And we saw how that went. And I've even heard LeBron since then say, I fucked up. I should have picked DeMar when I had the chance instead of Russell. Yeah, you should have. And you should have let him have his childhood dream. Yeah, so fuck you, Lakers. You don't deserve DeMar DeRozan. That's me turning around and putting it on the home market that's in Compton. Yeah, you didn't even open the door and let the man have his dream and play there. So he's on the Kings. What the fuck is that? Seriously. Clippers, you too. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Why wouldn't you get DeMar in something? You want to play in LA, you pieces of shit, you dumbass teams. Steve Ballmer, you dumb goofy ass. With all your dumb shit. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Seymour saying, Andrew, would you say Sabonis, Fox, DeRozan is a big three? I don't think so. I don't have that much respect for that team in some ways. I love DeMar, and in some ways he'll make me root for them to a degree. But Sabonis is a bull in a china shop. He's kind of annoying. In some ways I don't like him, but in some ways I do. De'Aaron Fox, I think he's a little overrated right now. I get it. He's a good player. He's on his way up. But I think he's a little overrated, honestly, in some ways. I've always thought that Sabonis is the more important player on that team since he showed up there. And in some ways, DeRozan's now the most important player on that team. But yeah, Fox is good, but he has holes in his game. And I think he's a little overhyped. In some ways, they need superstars on that Kings team to market. And De'Aaron Fox just happens to be that guy. So no, I won't say they're a big three. No, I won't. Yeah. Let's see. A mid three. That's pretty good, Andrew. I like that. Yeah. We'll give Andrew a dunk. for being funny. 60 dunks for Andrew, as superstar rising on the dunk charts, man. Yeah, time will tell, I guess. Yeah, it will. Andrew saying, yeah, I feel like DeRozan is such an interesting piece. Great scorer, but very one dimensional. Not a good defender, not the best shooter, not the best playmaker. He's a weird player in some ways. In some ways, he's very much a throwback. In this interview that I watched with him recently, it's an hour and a half. It's an amazing interview. It's really off the cuff. It's with Jeff Teague, Jeff Teague's little podcast that he does. And they diss Jeff Teague. Like at one point, DeMar says straight up, I never wanted to be a one-time all-star like those guys. And Jeff Teague's a one-time all-star. And they started like, well, what about this guy? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to burn you. It's so funny. But also DeMar's talking about different things, like when the Raptors asked him to start shooting threes more and trying to expand his game. And he's like, this is one of the things I really respect about DeMar a lot. In this interview, he talked a lot about how he respects the game as it being all levels, and that he hates this whole movement to get rid of the mid-range shot. That he's been against it, and he's really one of these people that fights against it. And he's one of these guys who has immunity from it, just because he's so overpowering, powerful. But he's saying this is not right for the game. Y'all are telling me I shouldn't take mid-range at all. I should either take three or go to the basket. Fuck that metric shit. This is part of the game. And in some ways, he's been a rebel in the game right now. He said very explicitly in this interview that he is protecting the mid-range because the way he sees the game and the sanctity of it. And he thinks it is wrong for them not to teach kids to play the mid-range game. He thinks it's wrong that kids aren't getting trained on the mid-range game as they're coming up like they used to. That in some ways he's from the school of Kobe, and that Kobe made it really important, talking about how the mid-range is so important for DeMar, that he's a champion for the mid-range in a league that is dissing the mid-range and trying to push it out of the whole league. So I respect him for that. In some ways, that was part of his principles against wanting to get better as a three-point shooter, was that it's like, look, listen, in some ways, I understand the history of this game and how important this level of the game is, that all three levels are there. And we've talked about this issue on this channel in the past. And we're all like, yeah, there's three levels of scoring in this game. There's near the rim, there's mid-range, and there's outside. And, what do you do when you take that middle out? It causes problems in certain ways. Trust me. Well, yeah, I'm so some of the things he was saying were so amazing in this interview. In fact, I'm going to get the link to this interview so y'all can watch it after me, and you can see exactly from what he was saying, what I'm talking about right now. So, yeah, it's a tough thing. Like, he's such an interesting story. You're exactly right. As far as his NBA player type and build and how his career went. Oh, this is the other thing I want to say. When he first showed up on the Raptors, one of the first main influences DeMar had was Alex English. Now, Alex English, we've talked about on this stream a couple times, is one of the greatest scorers in the history of the NBA. In the decade of the 1980s, Alex English scored more points than any other player in the whole entire league. More than Michael Jordan, more than Larry Bird, more than Magic Johnson, more than Isaiah Thomas, more than any other player. He has the most points scored in the entire decade of the 80s. And when DeMar showed up early, Alex English and his prolific scoring mentality was a huge influence on DeMar. And he was an assistant coach on our team at the time, English. So it's really cool to hear DeMar talk about how Alex English had such a huge impact on how he plays. Of course, Kobe, a huge influence on DeMar DeRozan also. Yeah, let's see. Wayne saying, Police Benevolent Society is a criminal organization. Most police unions are criminal, and most of their decisions in condoning wrongdoings of their membership, their endorsement of the orange is proof. Yeah. In some ways, this is what I'm saying. These guys are supposed to be the beholders of truth and justice and getting the bad guys. And meanwhile, they're endorsing the bad guy. So, yeah, it's really easy to see how you can get disenchanted with whether this world is fair or not when you see this kind of stuff. And I will agree with Wayne completely. Listen, I seen it from the other side. Yeah, I could tell a crazy story right now. I used to have a very good friend that was a bookie for the mob here in Toronto. Yeah, and I used to go with him to his job and sit in the room while he took bets. And it was just like a scene out of The Sopranos, guys. But a bunch of old crusty Italian guys sitting around an old sports cafe on Lawrence West. Yeah, I was in that environment. And my friend was like Rain Man. He could take numbers and put them through his head like really quick and do all the calculations and all the payouts on the horse races. Well, when I went to that sports cafe, which is like the Bada Bing on Sopranos, you know, that little club where Tony and all them used to hang out and just kind of sit around. Well, this is kind of the place I was at that day. I seen all over the walls plaques, police benevolence plaques, and like, oh, lots of contributions to the police. So yeah, one hand washes the other, and I understand it because I seen it from the other side. Yeah, and when they didn't pay enough money to the police, well, they did come around and shut it down finally. So yeah, who's the criminal? Who's the racket in that one? You allowed the criminality while it was paying you, but when they stopped paying you, yeah, you came and shut them down. And you told my friend he couldn't be in Ontario anymore gambling in the casino, so he moved to Alberta. But yeah, that was weird time in my life. And yeah, Lex has been in some places and seen some things. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Andrew saying, I think him and Sabonis will fit well offensively, but they'll struggle defensively. I think that's a pretty apropos thing. I mean, that's kind of been DeRozan's story for a long time. Now, he's gotten better on defense over his career because he's older and wiser. In some ways, he's stronger and bigger and more savvy. So in some ways, he's improved his defense since he was a Raptor in the years since on San Antonio and Chicago. But I think you're right. I think you're right. If there's a problem in Sacramento, it's probably a defensive problem. That's right. Seymour saying, don't forget McBuckets, McDaniels. That's right. They got Jalen McDaniels. Yeah, you think DeMar is going to go sit next to Jalen McDaniels and start dissing Toronto? Yeah, they got rid of you too. It's like, yeah, you think Jalen McDaniels even knows? No, he doesn't. Because he's like, when they came and told him, it's like, yeah, you got traded. That clip was so funny. He's like, what? Huh? Yeah, no, DeMar's not going to go sit next to Jalen McDaniels on the team bus and just start ripping on Toronto. No, he's not. He's not. Let's see. Andrew said one of the greatest moves Masai has done is getting that dude off our team and somehow getting a decent package back. You're talking about Jalen McDaniels, yeah, not DeMar. yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, Masai does his magic all the time, and in some ways, his magic is ugly, like the DeMar trade. Oh, it's so ugly, but it really was the best thing for our team. And in some ways, the DeMar Kawhi trade is one of the biggest examples of why Raptors fans should trust in Masai. Seriously, trust in Masai. Rudy Gay trade. Trust in Masai. Andrea Bargnani trade. Trust in Masai. Jalen McDaniels trade. Jeez Louise, man. Jeez Louise, man. Kareem saying at Trevor, wow, you spoke some real shit right there about life before internet, social media. I know, seriously. And I know you know. Meeting you and understanding our ages and where we're around. Yeah, in some ways, these kids, man, I feel bad for them. Like Nuggy the Ruggy was here last week, and I love you, Nuggy, so much. It was so good to see Nuggy the Ruggy, my cousins. What a great, great trip. And in some ways, but man, in some ways, I want y'all seriously to follow Nuggy the Ruggy on YouTube, because in some ways, this is part of the issue here. Is that on social media, your friends, how many likes you get, how many subscriptions you get matter to these young people and their self-esteem. So I want to ask y'all right now in my tabs on there, and listen, his clips are hilarious. He's got the cat in there, Nuggy, because in some ways, the subscriptions in some ways matter to young people because it shows that people actually give a shit about what they're doing. You know, my subscription climb has been arduous and very long. And in some ways, I haven't cared about it. But to some people, likes and comments and subscriptions mean the world to them because it's the stupid world the way it's shaped at this point like this. So seriously, if y'all could give a follow to Nuggy the Ruggy, he's going to start creating more and more, and it's going to be fun. And y'all can see kind of what his style of sense of humor is. It's hilarious, honestly. Like, I think that honestly, Nuggy, if you watch me today, I think that your clips are great for like replies to people, like in the comments. Like, you know how when somebody says something crazy in a comment, well, you could put one of Nuggy the Ruggy's little short clips in there as a response, and it would be hilarious. If you go see what he has, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So please give a subscription to Nuggy, and let's get his subscriptions up because it means a lot to him that people are following him. Seriously, it really does. And that's one of the differences of what I'm talking about right there. Wayne said hip hop or rap is a shithole of misogyny. Apart from Tupac's Dear Mama, how many tributes to women are there? It's promotion of extremely low IQ individuals to mass appeal by the oligarchy. Damn, Wayne hitting hard today. Listen, I'm going to give him a dunk because he just really is very eloquent in what he just said. But in some ways, it's dystopian what he's saying also, and it's not totally fair. But he said it so well. 115 for Wayne Strainer. He's been killing it on the dunks too. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. Hip hop has been rampant with misogyny pretty much from the start, and that's too bad. But we also have to understand there's been ladies in hip hop that really have had a good voice at different times. We can start in the beginning with MC Light, Salt and Peppa, Queen Latifah. There's been a lot of women that have been around hip hop that have gotten their voices and benefited from it also. So that in some ways, and they have had very much good material that has called out the guys on their misogyny in different areas. The only thing I ask of any music, whether it's rock and roll, country, metal, classical, jazz, hip hop, is be cerebral, have a purpose, have a message. Try and make the world a better place, even if it's kind of a gross, sad Metallica song. In some ways, you're creating art when you do a song like One and it's singing about, oh, life it names and fade away, all that kind of depressing stuff. That's that touched someone and gave somebody some feelings. That's the thing. Some of this art that some of these artists now are doing is not art. It's just absolute utter crap. It's a complete crap. So, I mean, man, it's tough. The misogyny has been definitely a problem in that genre, but it's been a problem in metal too. I'm not going to lie. There's been a lot of misogyny around metal and heavy metal, heavy rock also. So let's see. Isaac's saying DeMar's dedication absolutely is the reason we won a championship. Love that guy's heart most of all. He made us competitive with the belief anything was possible. Some of the most exciting ball. Yeah. Isaac Campbell, you get a dunk for that one. Seriously, this is true. Like he really did set us up. And in some ways, he did not get to enjoy the spoils. And that is very much very giving. And just in some ways, there's compersion that he has for Canada, even though he wasn't involved in it in the end and wasn't the one who got the ring. So, oh, man, there's a real affinity and compersion there. 116 for Isaac on the dunk chart now. I'm giving 3-pointers out. Yeah, I love him so much too. DeMar, you're always cool to me, my guy. You're always going to be cool to me. And I'm sorry if I was a little confused this summer about where you stood because of Kendrick Lamar. Wayne's saying, I've finally gone past the idea of any past players circling back. This league and this team will always be a renewal and change franchise. That's just our DNA. Who knows? Maybe we will get some sort of Kyle Lowry renaissance to a degree. But I agree. In some ways, this is the way you should be in your life, too. People are in your life for time periods the way that they're supposed to be. And maybe there is a rendezvous where you can come back around and circle somebody back into your life. And it is a beautiful, amazing thing. But it shouldn't be you're looking for it and betting on it and hoping for it because it may not ever happen. In some ways, people come and go in your life, and some stay for a season, and some are there forever for a reason. If I'm going to take one of Trevor J's words of wisdom and just throw them in there right now. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is. In some ways, your time with people is your time with people. Tommy's here. Good to see Tom Duke with the Heartbreaker. Good morning. Go Raptors. You go, Tommy. Thank you so much for everything you do in your life, whether it's at your work and just being a great friend, a great brother, a great son. Just, Tommy, you're a great person, a great dog owner. How about that? I love you, Tommy. Andrew's saying, I went to game 6 of the Bucks Raptors game, and after we won and made the finals, I remember turning to my dad and saying, he's definitely not leaving now. I guess I was wrong. Haha. Yeah, Kawhi the whole time really was on a 1-year rental. There really was a finite time for getting what we wanted to get out of him. And they all knew it too. Nick knew it. He said it in recent interviews that he knew that Kawhi was not going to be here past the year, that they knew that it was now or never. And that's why in some ways we did what we did, the Marc Gasol trade, and really trying to get there for sure in that year because we knew we had a 1-year rental of Leonard. And that knucklehead that was part of the deal with him coming up here. It's like, look, you can't sit out a whole nother second season like you just did with the San Antonio Spurs. If you don't come back, in some ways you're breaching union contracts or even your player contract, and you could get in trouble. So in some ways, Kawhi coming to play for us wasn't totally wholehearted, but he did do it. He did come in, and he did play one of the best his career year of his whole entire career, honestly. The best year of Kawhi Leonard ever in the whole entire NBA was his year in Toronto. That's just the damn truth. And so it's a weird thing. How do you deal with that? Even if you're a management, if you're Messiah Nick, and you know that this guy is going to leave, you don't tell the other teammates. You keep that secret on the down low, and you just do everything you can to squeeze every little bit of success that you can in that 1 year you got them. And they did. Oh, they did. Yes, they did. Yeah. David's saying, yeah, I said the same thing to my brother, laugh out loud. Well, that was kind of part of the thing that was sucked because we tried to get him, entice him to stay with the Quine and Dine. We really did think we had a good shot. I mean, any rational person would have just stayed. I think, non-Raptors fans, people that actually hate the Raptors, agree with us that Kawhi messed up by not coming back for another year with us, at least 1 year to try and repeat. So, yeah, it's a very popular sentiment. There's very few people out there that think that Kawhi made the right decision. Very, 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 very few. Maybe Uncle Dennis. He might be the only one. I don't even think Kawhi thinks he made the right decision at this point. I seriously don't. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going. Thanks for doing the classic card, guys. Andrew, good job getting that card. That was not an easy card today. Really, really wasn't. Smooth saying, who's Damian Jones? See? The classic card maestro is like, who the hell is that? Seriously. Andrew saying he does look like Oshai. Laugh out loud. I think he was a Laker for a bit too. Yeah, he probably was a journeyman. Damian Jones. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it is what it is. He does kind of look like Oshai a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's see. Smooth saying Terrence Davis still doesn't have an NBA contract. Wow, he didn't play last year either, I don't think. I don't know what's going on with Terrence Davis II. Whether he is in G League or what's going on with him. I don't know. In some ways, I wish him well, though. Bryce is saying, so what's the news on Koloko? Nothing official still. Nothing official. We kind of check in on this every moment here and there. It could very well be that everything's been figured out on the download behind the scenes, but they don't want to make it public yet. So I don't know. Maybe Basketball Reference is giving us the clues. I don't know still, Bryce. There's not anything for sure. When we get that Shams or Woj bomb, we'll know. We'll know then. Smooth saying, DeMar really want to be a Laker, man. I can't believe LeBron blocked him. Yeah, y'all didn't deserve him. How about that, Kendrick? Lakers Nation, Kendrick Lamar. He wanted to come play for his home city. He wanted to fulfill a dream, and y'all blocked him from that. I guess y'all don't deserve him because he's too good, and y'all are assholes for not letting him come and have his childhood dream to play for that purple and gold. Yeah, fuck y'all. And you're going to say that we don't deserve him? Well, we got him all-stars. We got him all-NBA. We made him an NBA player. It is a bona fide all-time great and a Hall of Famer probably. And what did LA Lakers do for DeMar DeRozan? How about that, Kendrick Lamar? I'll turn that around. Yeah, you want to get all like that. That's what I'll say. What did y'all do for him? Seriously. What did y'all do? Trevor saying, I can't wait for the Raptors season to start. It's going to be lots of joy and fun watching this team perform. I think that it's going to be very fun on this channel too. I'm going to really enjoy reacting and talking about the young Raptors and really analyzing it and breaking it down for you guys on what the next steps are for them to continue to get better and better with success, that we want them to get more and more wins. And well, I have a lot of history and ability from watching of expansion teams in the history of the NBA, whether it's the Orlando Magic early on in their career, whether it's the Raptors and they're early on in their expansion days. I really understand what it takes from a team that's just starting over and rebuilding, how it builds up to get to those levels. And I'm really going to be excited to help elaborate and explain some of the things that the Raptors need to do to be more successful. That's really one of my main bread and butters. We're going to watch games. We're going to hopefully see them win and celebrate in the next day. But when we do lose, I will break it down exactly where they lost. And hopefully we can talk about how they can improve to avoid those L's in the future. I'm all about it too, Trevor. I'm excited to do it with you guys. And I'm so happy to have the family of the Raptor Freaks here and kibitzing and talking about it every single day. Every day. We ain't taking no time off. Tomorrow is a Monday moment, and it's a big time one. I don't want to talk about it yet right now, but I've got my stream for tomorrow already figured out, and it's going to be interesting, guys. Fiercely saying king of the mid-range, Pascal getting there as well. Yeah. In some ways, I don't like these analytic people. They're trying to make the mid-range go extinct. There seems like there's these weird movements within the NBA game every once in a while, whether it's making the three-pointer over important, whether it's chopping the nuts off on the defense so the offense can just score like crazy, Well, they want to make the mid range go the way of the dodo. Like, why? You guys wanted to make centers go the way of the dodo a few years ago. Some of these stick and they change and they do happen, like Steph Curry in the 3-point line, but some of these don't. And I think that when it gets down to it and the end of it with this mid range stuff, the mid range will survive because it's just an absolutely essential part of the game of basketball. And the people that are anti mid range, like Nate Bjorngren and Nick Nurse, they can go fuck themselves. How about that? That's what I'll say right there. Yeah, butthole face. That's for you and your little toady. So he's saying at Fiercey, absolutely. For all DeMar is, Pascal is better, in my opinion. Oh man, I mean, I don't want to diss somebody for somebody else. I mean, I think that listen, in some ways, Demar was teaching Pascal when he was on the team. I mean, there is a very strong teaching from DeRozan to Siakam. And Siakam said that recently. He said that the leaders, the guys that really made the big impact on me early in my career were Kyle and DeMar, obviously. So a lot of the things that Pascal would probably say, you know, I'm nobody without having known in some ways that my leaders that from before, and DeMar's in that group. So we can't. There's no reason to compare them, but I do like that you give Siakam such good esteem. I will say that. I will say that. Yeah, and he's saying it's not a dig against DeMar, just his opinion. Well, it could be true. In some ways, Siakam has more length than DeMar. In some ways, also I would say that Siakam's better at finding lane or finding room than DeMar. DeMar's really kind of like measured and very good with the footwork. And like you said, he can shoot in a phone booth. But Siakam's like water once again. He's going to go through the cracks and he's going to, you know, seeing the workout footage of him with Jarace Walker this week really shows the philosophies of how Siakam is thinking on offense. And he really is breaking it down in his head on how to beat somebody one-on-one. And there's certain little key things that he's doing with his feet and his arms. And when he understands that he's got his defender beat, he knows, and he's got them killed. That's part of the reason why Siakam is like Jordan, is because he's analyzing his defender, he's breaking them down, and he's executing. And he really is very, very deliberate with what he's doing. It may have seemed that Siakam was chaotic with some of the things he used to do on offense, but he's very measured and deliberate, and there is a real method to his madness. You'd be surprised, especially when you hear him describe it in this footage of how he's training Jarace Walker in the past week. Very, very interesting. Nameless is saying, I'll be Amish. Screw it. I'm going to live on Lex's reserves, farm the land, and churn butter. All right, Nameless, you want to come out here and help me grow a sustainable food for us so that we can stop going to the grocery store? I'm all about that. Let's go. Let's go, my plumber friend. You can fix the plumbing out here in certain ways. That'd be awesome. I'm all about that. We could do trades. That's right. Kareem saying, happy NFL Sunday, y'all. Do all your chores before 1 p.m. and find the sweet spot on the couch until 11 p.m. That's my routine. Oh, my gosh. Kareem putting in that full-time hours for the NFL. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are excited about it. I went with Kaepernick. He took a knee. They told him to get the hell out. I went with him because I was like, yeah, they don't have free speech. They're fascists. This league, I'm not that into it. I'm into the fantasy football, but that's more than any other team. And so I'll just walk away. If they're going to do this to Kaepernick, I'm gone too. And I haven't come back. And so I won't be watching any NFL today. In some ways, it frees me up to obsess and think about the Raptors more. But yeah, y'all enjoy your NFL Sunday for sure. Nameless is saying there's no such thing as the mob. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Having been a part of the mob at different times, I've been in different mobs, honestly. I was in the Yakuza for a little while, guys. Seriously. I was in the Japanese mafia in Toronto for a little while, just for a brief little time. I was a driver for them. Let's just put it that way. So I have stories that can dispute what you're saying, Nameless. I've actually been around mob activity and mobsters, so I understand. But also, you can very easily say the police are a mob, just themselves. Their own entity is a mob. Their mobster mentality. Yeah, they are all about unions for themselves, but they don't want unions for other people. What the fuck is that? They're all about protecting themselves. Well, why can't every profession get a union like the police have a union? The teachers need a union. Yeah, the teachers need a union. The grocery workers need a union. The medics, the everybody should have a union on their job since the police are so strongly protected and using their union all the time. Well, it obviously works. Why is there not wanting to have unions for other people, but the police have one? Brian Winters. That's what I would say right there. Trevor saying, Lex, take a look at what I messaged you about. All right, I'll look at that real quick, Trevor. Is it all right? Let me see. It's in the personal message. Okay, is what this poster? Do you want to get that poster from me? You guys stop sending me stuff, Trevor. In some ways, I'm gonna run out of room. This guy's always sending me pictures of things. He's like, "Yeah, you want this? You want this?" I'm like, "Come on now, come on now." All right, let me do Leo Routen's words of wisdom today. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with great gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. I'm not going to lie right now. Seriously, this grind of doing this show all off season has been tough. And I've had times where I've been like, oh, this is such hard work. It's a grind. I have to do this every single day because I'm committed to it. But when Nuggy the Ruggy came here this past week, he inspired me again. He got me more energy to do this channel with more vigor and doing it even better. And I appreciate you, Nuggy, for coming here and inspiring me to do better on my channel. Because you did. You really, really did. In some ways, I was in some doldrums in my life, and my cousins coming here have absolutely made a huge game change. They have inspired me, and they've made me feel more positive, and having more love from them around me, and seeing the really creative beginnings of my cousin Nuggy the Ruggy. It really has made me really, really inspired and re-energized me right now. So I appreciate y'all for coming and visiting us and having this effect, seriously. And I hope it's the same for you guys. I hope that you came here and you got reinvigorated in your own lives and have good things coming up for you too. Nuggy the Ruggy, my guy, that's my dude, man. Y'all saw him on the channel last week. That dude is so cool, man. Nuggy the Ruggy is the best, man. I'm telling you right now. So thank you, Leo, for your words of wisdom on that one. Yeah, the words of wisdom on that one. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got to do today. Y'all, there's an interesting contest going on with the Raptors and Darko Rajakovic and Dove Men Plus Care. So Dove Soap and Darko have been kind of in a partnership for the last year or so about men's care and looking out. In some ways, it's very closely tied into DeMar and talking about depression and men not being afraid to open up and talk about their feelings. Well, this is the thing. They're looking for mentors, difference makers, people changing lives through basketball, and they want you to nominate a mentor or coach to join Coach Darko's Care Squad. They could win Raptors tickets and be featured on Raptors content in the future. I'm just saying, there's a lot of heroes on our channel here that should probably get nominated. People like Monique Lawrence, the super fan. Maybe somebody like Trevor J, who's sending me things like this. Yeah, I should probably nominate Trevor or David Saborin. I'm just saying, y'all, let's nominate some people from the Raptor Freak family. And let's see if they can get involved in this competition and maybe actually even win it. So check it out. It's on Raptors official admin, the Dove Men's Care. Darko Rajakovic, nominate a mentor or teacher or a contributor to helping lives in the Raptors sphere of things. Yeah, so check that out for sure, guys. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Cowboys saying, have a great day, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Cowboys. Good luck, Kareem and Broncos. Yeah, of course, he's got to put Kareem's Denver Broncos in there. And it sounds like Cowboy is a Cowboy for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I feel for you, Bradley. Many years of feeling for you. And also, real quick, for Bradley, Tada Services, cleaning services, 647-833-6844. Bradley can come to your area and help you if you're in the greater Toronto area with all kinds of odd jobs and stuff. It's starting as low as $89. Look at that before and after picture right there. Look at how horrible that place looked, and look after how Bradley cleaned it up. So y'all, Tada, 647-833-6844. Give Bradley a ring, man. Yeah, Bradley, I got to get your phone number, man. I don't have the right number. I'm going to message you on Facebook on Raptors Den, and I'm going to see what your number is. Smooth saying this. Sexy Red, Ice Spice, and other females in the rap game now openly promote loose sexual behaviors and drugs. It's really scary, actually, how much of a cesspool rap has become. I'm not going to disagree with you. I've seen, yeah. I mean, the overt sexuality is just it's striking to us because life kind of like progresses and stuff. And there's always you get older and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so like this and this and this. But we got to understand that our parents and people before them, they all were kind of more puritanical as time goes on. The one thing I don't like about some of the female artists in hip hop right now is they're using like horrorcore. Like Doja Cat is really all about the blood and like really weird, creepy, like gore and stuff. I'm not about desensitizing people from violence and actually getting hurt. That's a bad, bad thing. The sexuality stuff, in some ways, you could argue that these women are embracing their sexuality and it's their right to go out and portray themselves as they want to. But yeah, you got to wonder about role models for young people and what the messages are for sure. This is always the case with parents. Parents need to be on top of things for their kids. And it's much better to have an open, honest, trusting relationship with your children so that you can explain things to them. If you become this big boogeyman bad person that your kids are hiding things from, you're in trouble. That's when that things happen. So if you keep a good, honest dialogue with your kids and you say, look, I seen this video with Ice Spice and she's just throwing it all over the place. I'm like, yeah, don't be like her. Seriously, you got to talk to your kids. Be an active parent and don't be an autopilot parent. Don't be an overworking parent that's not there, that is not guiding your children. And that's so important in today's day and age. Seriously, the parents are supposed to be raising these kids. But if you let other people raise them, well, you're going to get what you get, is what I'll say on that. Yeah. Yeah, Andrew saying, I'm so excited to watch this team grow. I can't wait wait to see these guys hoop again. I can't either. I know Scotty can't wait either. His break has went way too long since his injury, and he needs to get back on that court and play some NBA hoops. That's the thing he loves the most in this world. Seriously. Cowboy saying, was watching Jacoby highlights again. He has a nice mid-range. Yeah, there's stuff. We didn't even really scratch the surface with him in Summer League. He did score some. He did have some nice little moments, but we've not even seen the package of what Jacoby Walter is capable of and what could be possible coming up. And I want to see it. I want to see it develop in the right time and how he's ready. We'll have to see. Andrew saying, one of my favorite things about last season was watching Grady develop. I'm so excited to see how Jacoby develops and if Grady takes another jump. I think that Grady will, and it'll be a lot because he built himself up. He's looking stronger. And in some ways, to be a better defender in the NBA, he needed to be stronger. So those are the kind of things we may see with him. Of course, we want him to be as consistent three-point shooting and his scoring and drives and hustle like he did last year. Build off of that first year, but add the other stuff. Be a more savvy and powerful defender, Grady. And this will help you get more minutes. And, in some ways, you won't be any kind of liability on the court if you are able to be a strong defender. And that may be one of the most important improvements from Grady Dick this year is that he's got strength and he can actually hold his own a little better. Because that was some of the stuff that was a problem at the beginning of the year. Let's just put it that way. But he did really hit those weights hard at Christmas. And it showed in the second half of the year, the improvement. Yeah, let's see. Isaac saying, I have a decent mid-range game, but it's off the dribble for the most part. It's a special skill to do from a set position. DeMar's mid-range game is the reason he is a Hall of Famer. NBA should respect that. Yeah, in some ways, it's like they're trying to kill it. Alex English, same thing. He was a mid-range scorer. And in some ways, that's like the philosophies that were taught to DeMar when he first came in. He bought it from what Alex English said. And yeah, he wanted to continue to carry that flag of mid-range scoring in the NBA, but the NBA coaches and the analytics are saying, nah, mid-range is not the right way. That's bullshit. And I don't care what your printout says, people like Eric Curry. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The mid-range game is an essential part of the NBA game, and it will never go away. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be a part of it. I mean, you're not going to take that part of the floor off there. Somebody's going to shoot from there by accident. You're going to bench everybody that is going to try and shoot a mid-range from time to time. What about the shot clock, people? And what happens if your three-pointer is not going down and the inside interior presence does not allow for inside scoring? Well, you go to the mid-range. That's what you just got to do. Yeah. Trevor's saying you need more lighting on your background. Well, this is all work in progress. There's more stuff being added behind me. There's going to be more covering the wall, so maybe you don't see the wood part up top. I'm doing it slowly but surely. You'll see more stuff added here and there. I'm using just the light in the studio. Like I don't have any special light on me. It's just the light that's in my room here. So it is what it is, Trevor. Over time, it's going to change and morph more. And I appreciate the thing you got coming to me right now. That's going to be a big help because honestly, Trevor, I was going to go buy one of those soon anyway. You just beat me to it. We were actually talking about going to get one maybe this week, but now that you're sending me one, well, I don't have to because it's coming in the mail. I appreciate you for that, Trevor. All right, let me see what else did I miss in the tabs. Oh, guys, Serge Ibaka has played a big, huge game over in Europe for Real Madrid. Of course, he's playing in Spain now, and he was the MVP of a game recently. He scored 26 points, he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. So yeah, good job by Serge Ibaka with a 26 PER. It's PIR there, per. His per is PIR over there. So 26 per. And he was the MVP in a game recently for Real Madrid. So Serge Ibaka, champion Raptor, excelling and doing great things still in other places. Happy birthday to John Thomas. John Thomas is 49 today. John Thomas, former Raptors. If you know who John Thomas is, you're a real Raptor freak because that guy was around on the Raptors just before Vince showed up. He was on the Raptors in that late 90s period with John Wallace. John Thomas was on the team also. So happy birthday to former Raptor John Thomas, whose birthday is today. Yeah, Stargate Santa Wayne, the whole Kendrick Drake beef is political propaganda tactic. It has to do with this FBA versus non-American blacks thing that's so prevalent in the Black American landscape right now. Yeah, there's levels to it. Some people have tried to make it a USA versus Canada thing. Some people have tried to make it about like if you're from the inner city or if you're from the burbs, and that's the whole thing with Drake. Some people have made it about their own little like frame of it that they want to put forth. It has been used as a propaganda tool, and shame on Kendrick Lamar for that in some ways. I mean, if your message was supposed to be something, make it clear and really make it powerful, because you could have a very big impact. You're a conscientious artist. I actually look at Kendrick Lamar as one of the hip hop artists that actually has artistry to him, that he has a very deep message and a deep motif of what his career is all about. But in some ways, this is missing the mark. Maybe I'm just not hip enough to understand it all from the inside out. Maybe I'm just an old fogey. But in some ways, Kendrick is like the carrying on of people like KRS-One and people before that really did try to tell stories from their place, where they come from, and trying to get it across to everybody. But I think that some of it has been hijacked. I think it has. It really has. And it is what it is. In some ways, once again, let's take it like DeMar said. It's like, let's not take this so seriously. In some ways, this is just music. This is just him like being an artist and creating his own thing. And some people are reading into it too much. That's basically what DeMar said in this interview this week. So he's not even thinking about it as deeply as everybody else is. He thinks about this whole thing as basically like he's uniting Compton. He's uniting red with blue. And that's what matters to DeMar about Not Like Us. It has nothing to do with Canada in some ways. It has nothing to do with the Raptors. It has to do with uniting his own community and standing together. And then in some ways, that's something that people have tried to do for so long with the gang wars in LA and the different times. There's times of peace and truce, and things are good. And that's important. In some ways, it's a call to say, listen, they're not like us over there. We're like each other. And why are we shooting each other is what it's all about right there. So, I mean, everything can be taken and done in a weird way, in a weird slant, and taken off the real subject of what it's supposed to be about. Music, sometimes, if it's not explicitly just spelled out, can be interpreted by the listener in so many different ways. And I think that this is a part of what's happened here. All right, y'all, I think I'm done for the day. I am over 2 hours, and I appreciate y'all coming to have a Sunday special report with me on DeMar DeRozan, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Not Like Us, where DeMar DeRozan is with the Raptors franchise and with our city and with our fan nation. I'm going to tell you right now, he loves Raptors fans. Raptors fans are his fans. And in some ways, he understands in this whole thing, because he's wise enough, that it's not us that traded him in 2018. It was Masai. And Masai straight up did that. And in some ways, Masai will fall on that sword and say, yeah, I did do that. And he'll take ownership and responsibility for it. But also, I'll say, I apologize if it hurt you, if it made you depressed, if it put you in a bad place tomorrow. We love you still. And the fact that, like I said, that DeMar DeRozan could say, "I never want to speak to Masai Ujiri ever again for the rest of my life," but he has, obviously, and in some ways, there's been healing in that. So let's take the leadership example of DeMar DeRozan and understand it in all the positive light that it is. That's what it's all about, right there. And he is a full-fledged, bona fide, positive member of Raptors alumni. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Kendrick may have tried to make it murky and say y'all never did deserve DeMar DeRozan, but I'm gonna turn around and say that LA doesn't deserve DeMar DeRozan because y'all didn't put him on the Lakers. Just pure as simple as that. So how about that? At least we gave him a shot. At least he got his career and he got his life and he became a man and got a family in our country. So yeah, what did y'all do? Y'all won't even let him come play. Maybe it's LeBron's fault. Yeah, it probably is LeBron's fault that DeMar DeRozan never got to wear the yellow and purple of the Lakers. Yeah, all right. We'll turn around and just say that. And what I said sounds really damn true, doesn't it? Because y'all had a choice a couple summers ago and y'all chose Russell. So there you go. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors. And I can't wait for the season either, guys. 28 days until we get our preseason game in Montreal against the Washington Wizards. I will be all over that. But until then, we continue through the offseason schedule and covering as much as we can. Tomorrow is a Monday moment. We're going to be talking about Jamal McGlure, guys, our Toronto Raptor from Toronto. And also a very important part of our franchise for a few years now. So we're going to do a Monday moment for Jamal McGlure tomorrow, guys. So come and join me at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about Jamal, Big Cat. That's right. That's right. Kentucky, Bryce. Let's go Raptors. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you want to, join the channel. Membership does have its privileges, and you will find out if you join. All right, guys. Thanks so much. DeMar, listen, seriously, you're Raptors forever, man. You are a GOAT. You always will be one of the most important Raptors that built our culture and got us respect. And that will never, ever be forgotten. And you're a huge reason why we won the championship. So in some ways, man, this dude's a champion in my heart forever, especially when it comes to mental health awareness. That's right. There you go. Nameless saying, you can't be responsible for the way people take things. That's their business. Masai should rest easy. Listen, Masai is a G. In some ways, I was mad at him just like DeMar, but hey, listen, he was right. And he did a good job in what he did because of that. It's complicated. Sometimes things aren't black and white. They're a little bit of gray in different ways. That's right. There you go. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Really happy to have you in the chat today, Nameless. And I hope you can make it more often on the lives in the future to come. But I know you're a busy man. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors. Enjoy your Sunday. Get out there and Raptorize your day like Nav Bhatia would and touch grass. Let's go Raptors. And thank you, DeMar, for coming back to Toronto this week and sharing your story with the youth here in our city. There you go. Let's go, Tommy Dookie. Cheers to everyone. So true, Nameless. Let's go. Let's go, Tommy Dookie. That's right. Let's go.